have everyone please stand? We're doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Morgan Township meeting, November 15th, 2018, 7 p.m. And if I can get a roll call, please.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'm going to make a motion to suspend or postpone the approval till next meeting. I found a typographical error that we need to clarify under the resolution from Dinsmore Schultz. It says on page 5 of 6, the first sentence, it says 550, it's a comma. I want to verify if that should be a period, $500, or if it should have another zero, make it $550,000. So, and it's not a typographical error on our part. It's exactly what Connie received from them, so she has to email them and verify that. So until we get that, we're going to hold off on approving the minutes.
Okay, so we'll move that to next meeting.
Right.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants from October 24th, 2018 to November 15th, 2018. Payment number 764-2018 through 834-2018. Warrant number 8855 through 8892 for a total of $139,039.96.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we will go to the audience at this time, and we have Mr. Brown, and I'll ask the two gentlemen to at least not leave until we get to them.
Appreciate it. Thanks. It's good to be here tonight representing Roger Reynolds, Butler County Auditor. A couple of things to highlight that are coming up that impact residents of Hanover Township as well as the rest of the county. We do have our dog tag renewal season coming up soon. December the 1st will be the first time. I mean, yeah. I was at Hanover Township last night. Sometimes it's like I'm a rock and roll band, you know, just in a different place every night.
It's all right. That's okay.
Yeah, and then Riley time. I'm surprised I didn't say Riley. I was there the night before that. So it's different song, you know, different place.
Same dance. We got it.
Same county, thankfully. I didn't show up in in Hamilton County anyway. But yeah, dog tag season is starting December 1st. So if anybody were to get on our website right now, they wouldn't be able to purchase a tag. We're down currently as we get everything wrapped up for 2018 season and get ready for the 2019 season. So December 1st is the beginning of that. At midnight, the website will be available. People will be able to go on and buy the 2019 dog tags, and that renewal season is through January the 31st. So folks have 2 months to get their tags. They're $14 again, as they have been for quite some time. The commissioner set that rate. Around the area, it's higher, so we do have a good low rate. Comparatively, I think it might be $25 in Hamilton County. But anyway, after January the 31st, those that are late purchasing a tag could be cited, and then if they're forced to get a tag, it's $28. It doubles per state statute if you don't get your dog tag in that normal renewal period. Homestead exemption a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I'll put that on our website.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just www.butlercountyauditor.org. As of December 1st, that'll be available. Let's say right on the front, purchase your dog tag, and you can click there and do it all online. It's great. We don't charge an additional fee or anything to do it that way, so it will still be $14. Homestead exemption time. A few years ago, the state changed the cutoff date. It used to be in March. Currently, it runs throughout the year. So if somebody were to turn 65 this year, they have until December 31st to go ahead and process the paperwork to get on the homestead exemption program for 2018, which would be payable 2019 tax season. So we encourage those that qualify. The income limitation is $32,200 for income in 2017, and that's Ohio adjusted gross income, 32,200. Each year, that's been going up a little bit, reflective of inflation, but that's the current rate for income in 2017. So we just encourage those that might qualify to go ahead and do that. If you're looking for more information, our website has that. When you go onto the main page of the website, there's a little drop-down menu that says Homestead. If you just click on that, you'll be able to find all the information out about it, about the disabled element of it as well for veterans. So normally, a homestead exemption qualifies you to remove the first $25,000 in value. Average savings is around $450 across the county. Because of that, you're not being charged for that first $25,000. For veterans, it's $50,000 gets removed. So if you had a house valued at $50,000, you wouldn't have to pay any property tax because of that. So it's a good program, and we encourage that's disabled veterans. But the auditor worked pretty hard to establish it was full disability initially. Then we heard from veterans that say, well, wait a minute, I get full compensation, but I'm not really fully 100% disabled. So we went back to the state and worked with the legislature, and they amended that. So currently, it's for those that get full compensation benefits. So you don't have to have a 100% rating if you're 100% qualified for compensation purposes because you're unemployable based on an injury in the service, then you would qualify. So it's a good deal. We were able to get several more veterans qualified because of that little change in the language, and we're really happy that the legislature worked with us on that. Currently, we do have some commercials, a PSA running to encourage those that might qualify to get on the program, because we don't want to miss out any of our vets qualifying, to get on that program. And we have worked with other Butler County agencies that deal with veterans to try to get that message out there as well. Fuel quality testing is something else that we've been pushing at the legislative level, and we're getting good cooperation from the Ohio Township Association. Tomorrow they should be voting on their final resolution that would put up all of their legislative points that they're pushing to get accomplished. And so we are on the list currently, so we believe, speaking to Gary Salmon, that will pass as is, and that will be one of their points that they're encouraging the legislature to take up, would be fuel quality testing for auditors on a permissive basis. So it wouldn't be required. It would be something any auditor in any county in the state, if they wanted to do it, could do it. And we've heard from many other auditors that would do it. So we have put together some sample legislation that we're going to be getting into the next legislative session, and we definitely have some local legislators that are on board and will be helping us with that. The Ohio Farm Bureau is also locally, Butler County supported it, as did the Ohio Township Association. Locally, Butler County supported it, and we're hoping the Farm Bureau will go ahead at the state level. And what that does by getting these two large organizations behind it is they will be able to put pressure on the legislators as well as the County Auditors Association if they get blowback from the petroleum industry, which has happened in the past when this was an effort to get testing in Ohio for quality of fuel. And so this would allow us to test for sediment, water, any impurities, and octane level, because right now nobody's checking that. So we're hopeful the session starts, we'll get a good push and get a good opportunity to get that approved. And then we continue to check for skimmers and work with the FBI and local law enforcement. We do have some leads, and we're definitely pursuing some things that we can't get into because there's some ongoing investigations happening. But we're hopeful some things might break soon, and we can release some information out there because we're hopeful we can put a little damper in some of this criminal element that's been going on. So,
so in other words, you have some more that popped up?
There have been a few more that we have uncovered, and the auditor continues to use cameras inside pumps, and so I can just say we might have had some success in that area. So,
good.
Yeah. So again, the FBI has very much been working with us diligently. So you don't probably want the FBI after you. So, and the branch manager that's been working on this as his role has been very active. So that's a good thing, as opposed to kind of previous administration down there wasn't as quick to respond to some of our activity up here, but this particular person has been, so we're happy for that. And again, I think he actually does live in Butler County, so that's a good thing. So, but anyway, we're hopeful that we might get a break and if not too much to ask for, maybe some arrests. So that would be a good thing. And that's my report on a cold
David.
November evening.
Our one filling station here in the township is increasing to add another fueling station, which will bring it up to 3 fueling stations. Just wanted the auditor to be aware of that. I'm sure that they've gone through the proper permits they have here.
Yes, we
For
are
us.
aware that they're coming online.
Coming online. Well, they
and
have
I believe
started-
they're going to have newer pump technology out there as well that would make them
Right.
safe from
They
skimmers.
I
so.
think they already have, on the 2 pumps that are there, and that newer one coming in. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, the last time I was out here, that came up, and I went ahead and mentioned it to the guys, and they did have it on the radar, but I believe that they came out pretty quickly after that and did some checks and talked to them again and that
Okay.
type of thing. So we're aware of what's going on at that
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, because they're presently digging the footers and everything else for the support of the expansion of the canopy.
Right, and we're getting closer to the UDF and Ross as well to coming, online with their new pumps and all that type of thing. So there'll be more to check in the area. But again, those new ones that come on board are generally very secure with their pump technology, so that's a good thing.
I have a question for you. Remember at the phone call, the conversation we had about the abandoned cemetery? Dale has done a lot of research on that, and, you gave us who the tax bill or who owns the property, even though there's no tax
Correct.
collected on it. And there's been no contact made with that. So we've gone through with Butler County Prosecutor Roger Gates, and looks like we're going to inherit it. So we'll go through the recorder's office and all that. So is there anything that from your office that we need to be aware of to transfer that property to
No, I'll ask.
township?
I'll ask some of those questions. I'm sure it just once it goes to the recorder, then that paperwork processes at our office as well. So it'd probably be treated as a standard situation, even though it's an inherited type of thing now, right? But no, I'll ask if there's something else in particular that you guys need to get to us in advance of that happening.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that, but it sounds like from the little bit of work we did that it's there's just no viable entity on that end that could
No,
do anything with
it
it.
had
right?
access by 3 roads, and all of which have been abandoned, so it's
Right.
just basically landlocked where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said that from the description
Sounded like a
shown on-
Brethren church
it looked
or
like it
something
was
like
right
that.
on the
That
It's the
border.
Lutheran, it's the Evangelical Lutheran of America, based out of Chicago, and I've yet to contact them. I just learned that today from Tom Stander, if you know Mr.
Okay,
Stander,
yeah.
the county historian, one of them anyway. There's a lot of things that are going on, and the first thing out of his mouth, though, if I may
Go ahead.
proceed to discuss this, the
Yeah.
first thing out of Mr. Stander's mouth, he said, no, the township can't take it. Okay, because there was a ruling in the 80s, and I'm trying to get a hold of this ruling by a Judge Moser and a Judge Valens on cemeteries here in the township. There was some litigation that was brought and everything else. And apparently the way the ruling goes is that apparently at that time the township was maybe considering to maintain it and take it and everything else. And in the long run, Mr. Moser said no, it couldn't be taken because it was still owned by this religious society. And a little further on, we've discussed the ORCs that are available to townships about taking it, and you have in your packet the copy of those 2 ORCs that he gave me too, which I knew were there, but I just hadn't got them out. In the first one, 517.10, okay, it's in your packet there. Title to certain burial grounds vested in Board of Township Trustees. It goes on to say that it defines what the cemetery is, what trustees could do, and then it says this, except such as are owned or under the care of a religious or benevolent society or incorporated company or association. Now, we would get that if it were public and abandoned, but since this is still deeded since 1859 to the Lutheran Evangelical Church of America, we
Right.
can't touch it.
And what you would want to talk to the prosecutor about, since he's your attorney, as well as our attorney, is whether in the care of
Yeah,
is being
and whether they-
fulfilled by the
right,
letter, because
in
it
the
doesn't
care
sound
of,
like they're doing anything, right? Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
not
it's not
being
being
cared.
right. And that would be the language he would want to pursue
Maybe
probably.
they
And
forgot
yet I'm
about
still
it.
gonna
Yeah.
have to reach out, I'm still gonna have to reach out and
Yeah.
touch the Evangelical Lutheran today in Chicago to see if they even wanna do it and everything else, but I've got a few other things
Right.
to say about this. We'll let,
Yeah.
let David,
So no, that,
David go
yeah,
on.
appreciate you guys looking
right.
into that. And again, things like that, we're here to help anytime. Just give
Okay.
us a call and we'll pursue all kinds of things. We had a similar situation that happened in Milford Township where it turns out that a cemetery that everyone thought was deeded to the township had never been deeded to the township. At least they could find no record of it. And a church changed ownership and they all of a sudden got a tax bill. And they're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't ours. And so upon further review, it was in limbo, basically, a situation like that where the township had been taking care of it for a long, long time and really didn't have deed to it. So they're trying to figure out how to make that officially happen as well. So it does get complicated when you're dealing with cemeteries. So, but we want to know and we want to help as much as we can. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention and good luck, in talking to the prosecutor and dealing with that.
Good. I know what you mean. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
This time I'd like to ask the two young gentlemen if they would at least come up, give their name and address, kind of describe why they're here, and if you have any questions, be free to ask, but I'll ask you to come to the podium.
I'm Nick Shelton. I live on Clear Creek Drive at the end there. This is a project we're doing for government class. So we have to attend a speech or anything like that, or a government meeting. I don't have any questions.
Don't have any questions?
No, I think it's really interesting to learn about what's going on in our neighborhood.
Well, if you guys have a question during the meeting, just put a hand up and we'll call on you, and feel
Okay.
free to ask and learn something.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dalton Updike. I'm Brett's son. Wouldn't necessarily say that, but we're here for our civic duty project we have for school, and it's trying to get students out of the classroom, going to getting involved in political campaigns. We had some students work the polls for the election, kids going out, having conversations with people about their political beliefs, just trying to get students involved in the government. I don't really have any questions, but
So do you plan to run in the future?
maybe not for township. We'll see.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience tonight? If not, Mr. Marshall.
All right, well, returning back to Fairview Cemetery, I left off in the fact that there were two rulings there about, Tom did not have an exact date, but he gave me the name of a former fiscal officer, Miss Charlotte Lehman, if I wanted to get the dates from, and because she would have the exact dates and time. One of his biggest warnings is that we don't want to do this as a township. He said, you don't have to do it. He said, because if you do, you're stirring up a large pot of, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, expletive deleted. I don't know why. I think it all boils around the litigation that went on during that period of time. He would not give me a reason other than the cost and the monies probably at that time, which is still going to be quite sizable if we did decide to take it over, all right, in that history.
What would the cost be? other than-
Well,
other
you've
than
got
just
this,
getting
if
the-
we take it over,
Do we have to restore all
we
the
have to
headstones?
we have to resurvey it and be able to put a fence around it, okay? We have to put a fence around it, we have to restore, we mow it, and then restore all possible headstones.
Am I correct in assuming that we could even have to pay them for the property? Because I believe that happened in Hanover. They were forced to take it over, and then they had to pay the person for the property,
Right.
if I remember correctly. Do you remember that? It's over, I believe, off of Decamp Road. So that may be a possibility.
Yeah, there could be a cost in there too, if we had to pay them, and then what would you value that? And my suggestion to Mr. Sanders to go look at the value that's placed upon it, just as land, even though there's no tax paid on it, David, but just as the land value that is placed on the GIS that I see presently, and make that the offer that that's what we would pay you. You know, I don't know, but that's here nor there, because it all depends on whether we decide we really want to take it over, because we don't necessarily have to. And don't you say that I don't, I have to take it over, okay? What do you have to say now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear her? Do you want her up at the mic?
Could you come up to the mic so she can hear you to capture what you say?
Who would you pay first of all, if no one knows who owns it? Okay? The one in Hanover, there was an owner.
You're correct.
That's why they had to pay.
Well, officially, the owners here are the Evangelical Church of America.
You need to find one local. If,
But I can go out of Chicago.
But here's
Yeah.
the bad part. He didn't want it, and he wanted to get rid of it, and they were forced to pay him.
Yeah,
They didn't want it.
that's further down in
That
the
was a court
ORC
ruling that
Township.
they had to
Yeah.
pay it.
yeah. But what I'm asking is, if we can't find somebody that's local and, and is running it, who do you pay?
Exactly.
Well, in 1986, Morgan Township had a similar litigation on a cemetery down here in Southwind Road. It was the Jenkins Family Cemetery. They went to court,
That was Judge Valens.
and Morgan Township won that and did not have to take care of it.
'Cause that was
So
a
Mr. Tom
family.
Sanders should know all about that one.
Well,
because
he
was one of
he
the-
said that one too. He was
he's
one of the key players,
witnesses in
right?
That court case.
And
But
he's
here's,
not,
here's
he's
the only
not,
bad part. I do believe the rules have changed since then.
I agree, but he
Yeah.
says that ruling went, both of the rulings, both the Mosher ruling and the Valens ruling went up to the appellate court in Middletown and were affirmed that the township did not have to take them over. And in that respect, those rulings would hold before the ORC.
So since you've obtained this information from Tom Sanders,
Uh-huh.
have you talked to Roger Gates? 'Cause
No, I
Roger
have
Gates-
not. I just got this
Roger
today.
Gates sent you down another.
He sent me
road.
down another road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have all of the necessary work. It's only one sheet of paper. All I've got to do is get some sort of a legal description on the plat itself. I fill out, I don't have to really fill it out. He wrote it for me and even put my name down on the bottom to sign. Okay?
That was
And then
Roger.
right, that was Roger. And to exactly, it told me exactly pursuant to 517.10, which is the one I read first. And it would be an affidavit of transfer of deed. That's what he's given me.
But we don't want to do that, right?
I'm recommending we don't do it. That's what I'm recommending, but now you guys can discuss it all you want. I'm recommending that we don't, primarily because if we do, we start to incur all of that cost.
Right.
And the other one is the fact that it's landlocked. And we got to find either a right-of-way, we got to either get a right-of-way or an easement of some kind, and that's going to take a little bit of money too.
Every time my phone rang, I was hesitant that Lisa Hagan was gonna call me, and one of those trees fell this morning and hit her barn.
Yeah,
That's what she doesn't care. She said it's been there all the while she's, obviously lived there, but these two dead trees are really close to her barn, and she's afraid they're gonna fall and hit her barn. Who's responsible? Her insurance, because we don't even know who owns it. Or we know, but we
right,
don't know if they'll.
and everything else. Mr. Sanders, not that he's a lawyer or anything else like that, I mean, just a public person like I am, and everything, he said, direct her to the Lutheran Church of Chicago and let her work it out, because they legally own the property, according to the 1859 deed that I have a copy of, all right? Now, if you look at the GIS profile, it says UB Cemetery, which is United Brethren, okay? And it's the United Brethren of Lutheran Churches of the United States of America on the 1859 piece of paper that I had. And the description is done in rods, not by degrees, okay? So it's, or longitude, latitude pieces and everything else. So it would have to be surveyed, that's a cost. If we can get the county surveyor to do it, that would be okay. But then we still have the fence to go around it, the cost of it, the cost of Rob's maintenance on it, and the cost of setting up what possible headstones we find, and then on the long run. If we don't take it, then it'll stay idle, and the trees will fall if the trees fall. And I don't know the implications of that. I'll have to ask Roger that, okay? Well, like I said, my head is full right now, and I can't.
Well, if they're the owners, then it would go to the.
It would go to
church.
them, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
We're not responsible,
right.
because we do not own it.
But it's like any legal other insurance. If a tree falls, like I had a limb today fall from my neighbors into my yard. Okay? He's not responsible for that. That's an act of nature, and it was an act of nature. So it's on
Unless
my
it's
insurance. Well, it
Once
was a
it's-
dead one. It was already dead.
Once it's dead, then it becomes the homeowner's responsibility, because they didn't take the dead tree down.
Yeah.
So in all what was it, in the 80s when the roads were abandoned?
The
would that
80
have
yeah,
relieved
19
them of any
19
obligation from that
Apparent,
cemetery?
I don't think so. It didn't.
Because there's no access to it anymore?
Access to it anymore. And I don't even think, I bet if I called Chicago, they wouldn't even know it exists.
Probably not.
I mean, seriously. And the roads were vacated, to be exact, the roads were vacated by the county commissioners in 1984, December the 4th, or something around that time, because I have documents to that effect there.
Well, and that's just like South Wind Road was vacated by the county commissioners, but at the request of the township trustee.
Right, it took a request from, in 1981, the township trustees, and I just found this out by looking at 84 and 85 minutes of the trustees. In 81, the trustees made a resolution to the county commission to vacate Can Road. And rumor has it that the biggest reason why they vacated was that Rumpke had purchased land on the Hamilton County side and was going to make a landfill.
There is a Rumpke that owns a
Yeah.
parcel that ran right straight through us.
That's a residence.
Well, that was rumor. That, I haven't confirmed that. That's why I'm trying to go back into the trustees' meetings to see what
I
reasons.
mean, it really is not a big enough parcel to make a landfill. They would have had to have bought other parcels to do it. But, I mean, I see where the rumor got started because a Rumpke bought the farm, but
And
it's
the,
only 100 some odd
yeah.
acres.
And the church was on the site until 1905, and by 1912, it was gone. So it's just, there's just so much that I spent an hour and 20-some odd minutes on the phone with him in terms of that. But he keeps,
You're lucky.
I can attest to that.
Well, at least we weren't being charged for it, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything too, so.
So
I,
unless we're forced, I say we don't take it.
well, that's my recommendation to you, and it's up to the three of you, okay?
Your thought?
Yeah, I don't want to take it if it's going to cost us.
I'd make the phone call to Chicago, and after you talk to, see what they know about this or how they wanna go about it, and then I would not take this either.
But what,
Well, here's the only thing I say. If we're not involved, we shouldn't be the one calling.
The cemetery.
This-
Yeah,
the-
Tom-
the
Mr.
church.
Right.
It would
The
have to
lady should
be the lady. I say you give the
lady.
information to
I'll
her,
get her
and if
the
she wants to
information, who
pursue
to
it,
call and let her
that would be
pursue it.
her, because we don't own that.
I just
That's
need-
not
you
us.
know where the county
But
line
she's
is
coming,
on
she's
California?
coming to us to ask us to.
You give her
Right.
the
Shane
information
Lincoln.
of what we found,
Okay.
and say,
There's a
they're the ones
driveway.
that own it.
Of a red brick house.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't
Sits
get
up on
involved
top
in
of
it,
the hill.
that's the main objective.
Go up their driveway, and the cemetery is directly behind her house. And then there's another driveway further north in Butler County or Morgan Township that goes up alongside the cemetery, and the
Big
house
long
is behind
concrete
it.
drive, goes behind the cemetery.
Cemetery. So the cemetery is between these two houses.
Landlocked.
Can Road
Because
used to
Can
come
Road
down.
used to hang down and go in front of it.
Shaneling used to go across, and what was the other one?
Howard Road,
Howard Road came in.
Came in
and
there.
they're all abandoned now.
most parts of it are abandoned.
Except the part of Cam Road where your dad lives, that's still
Well, yeah.
township road.
Well, the story is that Can Road, they couldn't drive on it because Appalachia is back there, built a barn right across the road. And it's, I think it's still there.
I think that's the farm that the Rumpke's in.
Yes, yes, they are. And
Interesting.
He got tired of the dust, and he just built a barn right across the road, and that was it.
That's how you dealt with things then.
Oh, God, this story gets more interesting every minute.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I grew up there.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think you could do that nowadays, but yeah.
What zone?
Well, I'll just stop it, we'll build a barn,
All right, well,
okay?
if you can get the information for the
Do it.
church or whatever in Chicago, and you want to give Lisa a call or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want me to do.
I'll forward it on to you and let you give her the call, okay?
Okay.
All right, where am I here? Okay. So, number two. Last night we had a zoning commission meeting, and we are one step closer to having 7A, 7A, and 7B finished. We are focusing in on some small, not small issues, some big issues, especially on 7A, where we're having interest in terms of the size of the water main going down the street, and a number of hydrants and stuff, and Chief and I are working on that, along with Ken Tomlinson and some of the others from the meeting, to get that worded and refer to the Ohio State Fire Code in reference to it, and we'll leave it at that. My hope is that by at least February, this could all be passed and in place by March of next year in terms of that. If also, I'd like to return and ask that the letter I have submitted again with about increasing the zoning fees for beginning January 1st, 2019. We discussed the solar panel issue, and the commission summarily said, no, we are not going to change that. We're going to leave it as it is, but we'll leave it to discretion to you, Dale, as to how large it is. If it's a very small one, how am I even going to know about it? But if it's a commercial one, and I'm going to tell you this, it is the one being placed on Cincinnati Brookville is 12 feet this way 1,066 feet long. It's 1,092 square feet of a solar array, okay? That precludes, all right, and everything else. So I would appreciate your approval of that if you could, in a motion.
Personally, I'm all right with it. You guys?
The only question I had is, I talked to Dale before, if someone comes in and offers a 4-foot by 5-foot solar panel, Dale says that would pass, that would fly, there would be no issue with that. So.
Because you're not gonna be touching setback boundaries, I don't think.
Right, so when you start working up to a 10 by 10 or a 10 by 15, he's gonna make that decision when he hits that $200 price tag.
Where it needs a structural
Right,
building and basically frame to hold it.
Right.
That's usually what this was going under, so.
So no matter how big it is,
Well,
if
it's
it's on
pole,
a roof,
anything
there's no.
permanently
no,
mounted
if it's
on
not,
a
if it's
pole.
on a roof, I'm not gonna look at, I'm gonna say, go do it, you know,
On
because
a-
it's on the roof. If it's
Right,
on
right.
a roof,
But if it's
Pole,
pole and
but-
concrete,
Yeah.
everything's on a pole and concrete, so then we talk about the size.
right, if it's going to be meeting county regulations on solar panels and everything else, if it's gotta go to the county to get permits and stuff like that, it's going to be paying the certificate fee here,
Okay.
okay? I mean, that's the way I look at it. And most of the time, I've been contacted by the solar panel company as to what regulations we have here in the township. And so now I will be able to say in January, it's $200, because those are the ones putting out the big ones and everything else, okay?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township zoning new fee schedule as written.
I'll second that.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion carried.
One, just typographical, under mobile home, new fee for the dollar sign.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
all right. I have no further movement on land use. I will work that in January. Just wanted to let you know, these are all the projects that I've been working on, and everything too. But I've been focused more on number 2 and getting the revision going and keeping it steady. And I think, if any of you, I know Brett attended last night. I appreciate that, Brett. He gave us some good input too. And Jeff, you're welcome, and of course, Tom, you are too, to attend. Our next meeting is December the 12th, where we'll be further doing it. I'll be glad to give you a copy of the revision that we're working with, that'll show you the exact changes that we are making in color and everything too. We're moving things around, making it stronger. All of these were off of the recommendation of Jack Grove himself, and through that, a stronger piece. And I put comments off to the side as to why this was being changed, because it was usually from Mr. Grove himself, and I agree with those changes. Okay. All right, number 4, FYI, concerning Chapel Valley Estates. This is going to become a little sore if I don't know what to do with it at this point. Because as I look over the history of this particular estate, originally it was supposed to be a residential estate district, a companion to Clear Creek. But whatever, through its development, it ended up being a private drive with no HOA that was signed. There was an attempt to put an HOA on the books, but too many of the lots had been sold and they never made it onto the deeds, or given to the plats and everything else. So now as it stands, so many years after, because this was 2002 when the development began, and I don't know whether there was any remaining lots in the development at all at this time and everything, but 2 residents off of Kearney, a Joanne Hedges and a Kim, and I don't know her last name, have called me 2 or 3 times over this last 3 months concerning the the shape of the road.
And this is the private drive,
And
correct?
this is a private drive.
Lawrence and Kearney Drive.
Yep.
Lawrence and Kern.
Which basically eliminates us.
I know. It basically does eliminate us.
Because I had multiples when campaigned back there, and they asked what you could do, and I told them, I said, the only thing you guys can do as all the homeowners is you bring this road up to county specs, and then it goes to the county for 1 year. After they've got it, then it would come to us, but you're talking millions of dollars to do that.
I've told them the same thing,
And that's,
okay?
you know, we don't have the money to
Rob has
do
told them the
that.
same thing.
I'm sure they don't, because you're looking at
Another thing on that-
200,000 or 300,000 each
that
house.
particular project is, there was supposed to have been a final coat of blacktop put on that.
Right.
After so many houses were done. That was never done. That's still just the base coat and then a leveling course, and then the finished course is supposed to be put on after so many homes were done. Now just about every home's done, and that was never
And
completed.
right,
Yeah,
and
but that road's not
originally,
even that wide either, is it?
right,
And it's, there
Because
ain't
then
much,
another thing is, when you first come into the development, you
It's
get to the
wide.
bottom of the hill at the bridge, it's settled on both sides of the bridge, and
Yep.
there's some major work needs to be done there, that the bridge is still good, I mean, they won't have to do nothing there, but then the cul-de-sacs, there's 2 cul-de-sacs that would have to be enlarged in order to make it to county spec, and the road would have to be widened to bring it to county spec. I don't know if you're talking millions, but you're probably talking $1 million, at least $1 million to do all that. So
I bet you we're looking more now, just, because you know it'd all have to be dug up, it'd have to be widened, you'd have to put a base, you have to start from scratch.
yeah. And now you're gonna have to put a 9.5-inch base rather than the 8.5 that was originally probably there for county specs.
you might be able to get away with not having to
And that's
redo
what?
it all, but
Is that a mile and a half road we're looking?
it's close to that,
Yeah.
like the back and.
Yeah. With the circles.
I just wanted you guys to be aware that, you know,
Who's responsible for
And that's
that
why
final
we
coat?
wanna do away with private drives in our zoning.
like,
Was the one that was supposed to.
Was he totally out of it?
He's long gone. I don't know where he's at now. He moved to Kentucky. He had his house there for the longest time, and then he sold that. And he
Mr.
had a-
Gillespie.
Gary Gillespie.
Yeah.
And he had an old riverboat that he had been restored when he still lived there. And that finally disappeared about 2 years ago. Actually, last summer it disappeared. Yeah, they had to take the fence down, or was that this summer they did that? Either last summer or this summer, but it wasn't too long ago. As he come and got his boat, that was the last thing of his that was left there. Was an old paddle wheel boat.
Well, I mean, I told both Kim and Joanne to gather the residents in a meeting and discuss it, because I said, I will work with you on what to do and how to go about certain things, but the township can't touch the roads.
Cause if you did one,
You have all of them.
we'd have all of them here.
Yep. And I noticed it's kind of funny, as I was reading the minutes from the Fairview stuff about back in the trustees, there were a number of people who kept walking in and asking if the roads could be salted during the winter in 1984, because that was a pretty bad winter too, I think. And there could be ice. Could they be iced by the township and stuff like that, de-iced and stuff? And they were told, no, it's a private drive. You got to do it yourself.
Like the very first year I was here, people in Indian Woods Lane, Darrell Huff being one of them, come to a meeting wanting us to plow and salt Indian Woods Lane. The trustees then said, no, it's a private drive, we can't do that.
Do it.
As soon as you get on there and you tear the road up, then they want you to repair it.
Correct.
You can skip number 5. It's a duplicate of number 3. And then the last thing I have on the list is that with all of this between the Fairview Cemetery and then the revision stuff. I do have some litigation issues, but I would like to begin those in the new year.
Okay.
On the litigation that we're gonna be working with. Other than that, is there any questions for me at this time?
Where's it stand with Mrs. Schulteis?
That's what I just
That was
reported
it?
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I call it litigation.
all right.
I don't
Thank
wanna use the name.
Okay.
You got something for him?
Did you have something
No.
for me?
Well, little compliment here. I'd like to thank Dale and want to let him know that once we hired you and from the time you've started to the time here, the improvement is very good. Doing a very good job. I'm impressed with your thoroughness to look and see and do it the right way, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Really showed in the meetings, so. And if nothing else, Mr. Brown.
Just a couple things. Obviously, today we had a pretty significant icing storm. Thanks to Chief Galloway for coming out this morning and helping me find trouble spots and stuff like that. But, the roads themselves weren't bad. It's just all the ice that built up on wires and trees. And as you can see, trees come down all over the place. I've got a mess at my house. So does everybody else, in the whole county just about, so. But anyway, we didn't have any issues, as far as roads being totally blocked. We did have numerous amount of trees that we had to stop and actually get the chainsaws out and cut off, because they had at least a lane blocked, a lane and a half blocked. But traffic was still able to get around them, but except for George Road, that one was completely blocked. And we had just cleaned up 2 trees at two different times in the past 2 weeks, and another one come down right in the exact same spot. And while Mark and Steve and the fire crew was there cutting it up, another one come down, and they all went running for cover because they didn't know how close it was coming, but you could hear it cracking, and
Here it comes.
it's just, and it's all them dead ash trees up through there, just all that ice on them just snapped them off. Then, we've been doing a bunch of, cut and rebasing. We're pretty much, with this cold weather now, we're to a halt there, and we just can't do anymore. We went, did a bunch on North Wire Road, and we went up on McCoy Road and Riley and helped them, because they come down and helped us some. Ross Township helped me out a little bit. One of our dump trucks went down that we used for dirt patching. It wouldn't shift right, and the instrument gauges weren't working. Didn't turn out to be anything too awful major. Daniel Morrissey's got it down at Triple D doing the work on it. Basically, the instrument panel, the connections on the back of it had just come loose from its age, so he just had to take the panel out and just solder all the connections back together. And he's got everything working, the RPM gauge is working. It's like, for example, you'd be sitting at a stoplight and it would be showing you doing 55 mile an hour. And then other times it wouldn't show anything at all. And by doing that, it wasn't allowing the computer or the transmission to drive with the RPM to the truck to shift. Wasn't letting it shift, it would only go to 4th gear and it would hold in 4th gear. It wouldn't let it shift to 5th and 6th. But that's all taken care of now by just him soldering that back together. Found some other minor issues he's taken care of, and then, the biggest thing was we're waiting on, and I don't have a price yet from him, because he's waiting on parts, numbers on parts, but, the on-spots on that are the original on-spots, and the chambers are all rusted, and when you flip the switch, it does not let the chains go down, because it just is all rusted up, so both of those chambers are gonna have to be replaced, so he's ordering those in. That's what he's waiting on prices, because he doesn't have prices on that to be able to give me a total quote. But that truck is down there, and then our other truck, we still have our Berman box on, so this morning for our snow event, we used the 550 and the Mark's big truck to do everything. And being it wasn't that bad of icing event, we have worked out. Before we have another one though, the other truck will be set up. Then, Mr. Colby emailed me about a question with the stuff on Church Street about utility poles being moved. I got with, Mark Goodman with the county engineer's office, and he got with Cincinnati Bell to see exactly where all those to be moved. And I got the answers to, John Fagley had a question about where the poles are gonna be moved, cause he was told by the county engineer's office that they wasn't gonna be moved. And the guy from Cincinnati Bell kept coming down there saying, no, they're gonna be moved, so he wanted clarity on exactly what was going on, so I got him that clarity, so he's ready for us to, whenever we come down to talk with them about getting the easements and work agreements and all that. And,
Were there any other poles beside those two that were gonna be relocated?
no, those are the only two.
Good.
So the ones right there by the fence, right?
Correct.
Yep.
The one right across from Fagley's house, it's gonna be moved 5 foot to the south and 3.8 inches, 3 feet 8 inches to the west, which is gonna be awful close to the water line. They're probably gonna have to not quite go the 3 foot back because the water line's gonna be there. 'Cause, Fagley was telling me that water line goes right through there, and he said that that's gonna be close, so. But that'll be up to the contractors when they come in there to do that, to do their utility locate and determine all that. Cause there's nothing built into the budget about the water association moving water lines. And they're really, in my opinion, they don't need to be moved, they can move them poles someplace. You know, move them a few inches or a foot or so to accommodate it, and still be able to do their pipe work, so. And then, with Witzelbacher's up through there, nothing's gonna be moved any further out into his field. It's because, the only reason why they're acquiring right of way through there is where the poles are now. They are sitting on Witzelbacher's property now. They're on private property, they're not in the right of way like they normally are. So they're just doing that to get all that
In the right.
in the right of way. That's why that's being added, because as that ditch goes north along Church Street, it goes further away from the street, and that's when it goes on the private property. So they're just wanting to get that where all the poles are right at the back edge of the road right of way. That's all that's gonna be. So Mr. Witzelbacher will not be losing any more of his field or anything like that. It's just putting everything so those poles are in the right of way, which that's where they've been for 30 years or more. So it's nothing new.
Okay.
That's all that.
Did you bring home a trophy from the ice rodeo from Butler County?
I felt I did really well, except for one thing is I didn't raise my plow up high enough and it bounced a few times, and I got dinged some points that dropped me way down the list. I only brushed one barrel and I just brushed it. I didn't TKO it.
How about Mark and Steve? How did they do?
They did better than I did, but they didn't win. So. But
All right, oh, next
the
year.
funny thing is,
Next year.
the street supervisor for City of Oxford, he's the best truck driver there is. He goes through and he mows over 2 barrels, not just knocks them over, drags them through the whole course. And the one was smashed. It was funny. I didn't do that.
All right.
I pushed one a little bit, which cost me 10 points, but that was it. And then I got about 30 points knocked off because I didn't keep my plow up high enough. And whenever I hit a bump, whenever it touches the ground, you got knocked 10 points off.
Sound like stiff competition.
It was, but it was good time. Learned some stuff.
Good.
Okay. Well, we're on the Okeana project. I'll go ahead and bring that up. I know you were working on getting the numbers. Did you ever get?
Yeah, I sent them to you. And that's why when I was down talking to Fagley, getting.
Well, you got Fagley's and you
Fagley
got
and-
Frankie's.
Well, Frankie's gonna represent,
Waddell.
Mrs. Waddell.
Well, we're
So,
still gonna need her
what-
phone number.
I didn't have Kramer. Well, Frankie's got sometimes Fagley goes over and knocks on Mrs. Waddell's door, and she won't answer. Frankie goes over, and she'll answer because she knows him. So,
But here's my thing. I don't have a problem him talking for her, but we are gonna have to have that in writing, that one, she says that he can do this for her, but she's still gonna have to be the one to sign these papers.
I will see him tomorrow morning, so
And-
I'll tell him to go get in contact and come to
And
do
while
us
we're
where
doing
you
this,
need to be.
can I have you ask Roger if that needs to be certified, or what legally we need to do, having someone else represent someone else to cover us, because if we don't, and we go down there, he says, yeah, she wants this, and then she turns around and comes back and says this, we're in a world of trouble. As long as we got it legally, I don't care if he does it.
It'll be her signature on anything. I mean, he's not.
I realize
going
that, but
to
you still gotta have a
sign.
legal document that says
That he
that
can
she's
speak for
saying
her.
that he can speak for her. So I don't know if they're gonna need a power of attorney or just a regular paper will work, and that's something we need to find out from Roger.
You want me to do that?
If you would, ask that question there,
And see if it needs to be notarized.
or if
because
it needs to be notarized,
If it does,
or
I'll
if it
have
has
to
to
see
be
her
a
sign
power
it.
of attorney, cause then she'll have to do that. I don't have a problem with him doing it. I'm fine with that. But we gotta legally cover us, because if when we go do this and then she goes to take us to court, well, he has no legal right to say it. Well, here, no, we have this.
Well, I wouldn't expect him.
You never know.
No, let me, Fred, if he is just going to accompany her to the meeting, if she wants it, because we'll talk to her.
Okay,
It'll
well, the
be a
way you wrote it, he
face-to-face.
was gonna do it for her, so, but still.
Well, he's gonna do that initial interface, so she understands what we're trying to accomplish. Past that, it's her call, and if she says, hey, I don't wanna be, I'm gonna let Frankie do whatever he needs to, then we can go down the rabbit hole of getting a notary or a power of attorney or whatever Roger says we're gonna
We'll,
need.
we'll still see
Well,
what
let's go
we
ahead and see
possibly
what we
will
need,
need.
so we know going
Okay.
in. And then we'll still need her number, and I'll blank on the other guy's number.
Stephen Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer. Cameron. Cause didn't you say, Fagley's
Fagley is
gonna
supposed to-
represent him as
No,
well?
Fagley's he didn't have Kramer's number, but he said he's gonna look, cause he's got his card, he just can't locate it, so maybe by,
Okay, well,
by
if you can
tomorrow
get all
he's
that
seeing
from
him.
him, and
Yeah.
that way we have everything ready, cause I don't wanna start picking and not have everything,
I'll shoot you an email.
have all our ducks in a row before we start.
I'll shoot you an email tomorrow, and you should, if I make direct connections, you'll have it.
Alright, that's the only thing else I had on that.
Oh, I almost forgot some stuff here too. On the 1858 building, I got with Andy Zawalski with the Oceana Hardwoods, and there's 3 of the windows in the 1858 building had started to decay. One of them decayed to the point to where one of the glass panes actually fell out and was laying on the ground. How it didn't break, I don't know, but it was laying on the ground, so I had them come down and they took those 3 windows, they've taken them out and started repair on them. While they was there working on them, they was looking at all the others, and a lot of the others have got, the wood of the windows themselves are still solid, but the old sills were the original sills that were in that building, they left them in there, and on the bottom side of them, one of them is rotten. But right now, when it gets wet, it gets real spongy, but when it dries out, it gets real hard. It's hard to explain, but in any case, they're saying that something needs to be done with that. Well, I told them, I said, well, we're only doing these 3 windows, we're not gonna do anything with those windows there. I said, what other stuff can you do besides pulling them all out and replacing that? Well, they're thinking that that was all painted with a latex paint, probably because of being a just the windows, the window frames, strip all the paint off of those window sills, off the window frames themselves, recaulk all the glass around them, and use a oil primer, prime the wood, and then repaint it. And hold on to your seats on this one,
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
$5,500 just to do the windows. That's not painting the building at all. That's just for that.
But that
Now-
sounds like they're just putting a Band-Aid on rotten wood. I
That's
mean,
correct.
Why, what would it cost to put the, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, the other three went, now, I'm not for sure exactly what the price, cause this is a time and material basis on these others, cause they took them out and they had to take the windows completely out, they put plywood in, put the storm window back in, so the building is secure and weather tight and stuff. And they took those three windows up to do that repair on those window sills, and those are all gonna be recaulked and stuff. But they're not doing any of that scraping paint and getting all that, they're just fixing those and then they're gonna put them back in and that's it. So I'm hoping that's about $2,500 is what I'm hoping that'll be, but I don't know that for sure. But those three windows, they've taken them out, they're on the process of doing it. This $5,500 is for the other four windows to completely strip them, and the sills on these three windows, stripping those also, and primer and stuff. Basically, that's doing all the windows, stripping all the sills, everything around the window, stripping that and primer it with this oil-based primer, which would give us some more time on this.
But we only got 2 bad windows, everything else.
Well, there was actually
Three.
three bad windows, because one was really bad to where the paint fell out. The one right next to it, which was the next one south towards Oakland and Drewsburg, you could push your finger through it, but the windows were still in. And then the one in the back on the north end, which never sees sunlight, it was real spongy where you could take your ink pen and push into it. With, you know, this whole pen, you could push into it because it was that soft. So they went ahead and took it out to repair all that. And they didn't have a reason why, because they're the ones that built the windows originally, because that's what the trustees and the Historical Society wanted to keep everything as original as possible. But basically, Oakland Hardwoods made these windows, custom made these windows.
How long ago? When it was restored?
2008, I think is when they did that.
Those windows only lasted 10 years.
Right.
And they have a storm window in front of them.
And then there's a storm window, is that front, no, that's on the inside of it, there's a
The
storm
inside.
window on the inside,
So they're hitting the weather.
so they're hitting the weather, they're not protected from the weather at all.
So they made all 7 windows?
7 windows were all custom made, and they reused a lot of the glass that was left there, what they could, because you can see what the original glass, because that's got that waviness in it, it's not real clear,
It's got pits in it.
pits in it, just wavy, that's the original glass. And then all the stuff that's nice and smooth and real clear, that's the new glass that they put in, but they tried to use as much of the old glass as possible. Like, there was 2 of the windows I know that all the glass broke out, there was no glass left whatsoever, so those all had brand new glass in them. But they'd taken the old windows out and used them as a blueprint, as you'd say, template to make the other ones. So that's where we're at on that. And then I also got a price from him for where Chief is sitting to basically, it'll be on a metal frame with casters so we can move it if we have to, and it would be skinny enough, well, it'd go out that door, we could get it out of the way if we had some sort of special event where we need to get through to the kitchen. But it would look just like this, because they still have the same, whatever you call type board, they still have that on their shelves up there, enough to make that bench for Chief Galloway and Jeff Griffith to sit at. Plus, on the side where Dale is, it would have to where that would come around just like it does here where Connie is. But it would be part of that there that would move, but it would give you a little extra piece around the corner there where you could set stuff. And putting a thing in the corner here where the clock would be permanently mounted there, so the video camera would see the clock and stuff. That way it'd make it look nicer than a chair sitting there with the clock on it. Anyway, he gave me a price, that price is $5,025.
Will it have microphone hookups? So
That would be extra.
That will be extra, but he will drill the holes in it to wherever we wanna put microphones, he
we'd
will
have
have
to
all.
be able to disconnect them if we move that thing.
Correct. But that's something that Norcom would have to do, or,
And you're looking at a whole system, cause if I'm not mistaken, this one's tapped out. And it's old. Which we don't have the money for right now.
I like that chair with a clock.
Thank you, Joe.
Looking better and better, isn't it?
That's okay, I walked in here yesterday and looked at it and it wasn't there. And I went, oh gosh, it's gone, somebody stole our clock.
in any case, I was supposed to got you that price a year ago and I finally got it, so.
Here we go, we might be able to do it.
Yeah.
No chance of him donating anything? Windows to the Historical Society, or, he donated this.
He donated
Yeah.
this, but I don't think he'll donate that.
Alright, I'm gonna,
Unless you guys went and asked him,
well, let me ask you a question. Cause this happened before I was here. Is there any chance that part of the History Society pays in part of this? Was there, I know there was some before, from my understanding, but I do not know the rules or how it went.
my understanding, they supposed to be paying electric bill.
No, it's not in the contract.
Right,
I found the,
we
Okay,
found the contract. so.
we found it, and it's not in there.
what was they supposed to pay for then?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Really?
Right, that's what I
See,
thought.
I was always told there was something they were supposed to, but no.
Cause I always thought they supposed to pay the electric bill too.
I found a whole box of the project to restore that, and it had the contract in it, and it doesn't say anything about them paying electric.
So I guess that would be my thing is probably ought to go to the Historical Society and say, hey, you know, we're willing to put some of this money, but you guys need to chip in some of it, cause this is a pretty costly ordeal to keep this looking as,
Because if I'm not mistaken, we can't just put anything we want there, cause it has to meet certain regs to
Well-
stay under that historical,
National Historical Registry.
yes, and I couldn't think of the name of it, thank you, Dale. And I know there's only certain things you can do.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but I know there's regs.
probably a good thing you said that, because I was real close to having Schofields put brand new windows in, new vinyl windows in that place. But then when Mr. Schofield seen the windows inside, the storm windows that are inside, that actually those are what does the insulating or whatever, or so call it. And he said, oh, I don't want, I'm not gonna touch this with a 10-foot pole, cause I can't justify taking them out and putting new windows in there. I'm like, okay. I said, well, I want 3 new windows put in there. Well, he wouldn't do it. And he told me to get back with either Zawalski or, I called Dwayne with, that Jeff Galloway's got there. And he was gonna send his dad out to look at it, but never did. And Zawalski showed up and said, hey, I can do this now. I'm like, well, get on it. We need to get these fixed before it all rots out. So that's why I had him go ahead and do those 3 windows.
Yeah,
But
Jeff,
the rest of it, you know, painting the windows and all that stuff, I knew that was gonna be major money, and that wasn't something that had to be done right away, so. But I felt those other 3 windows that, you
let's take a look at the Historical Society guidelines and then see what we can do on the price of a window, and if it goes past the budget, then talk to Jill.
I think we're already hitting past the budget.
Well, wait, I mean, but
What is the
for
budget?
$5,000,
What
you
is-
could do
what
the
is
whole
it?
Well, I
house.
mean,
Do we have a budget?
Well,
we don't have a budget for
That's-
that, but
that's
you're
what
looking
I
at
was-
our
There's no
general
money in the
budget.
budget for that.
I've
Looking
got a
at our general
price
budget, we don't have the money.
Evans Painting out of Oxford to repaint the whole building at $2,500. And that was repainting the whole building, the gutters were their own color, the fascia board behind it was their own color, and the building was it, so it's 3 different colors that had to be painted. And that whole thing was $2,500.
That include the windows?
That was everything. Trim
Not
windows.
replacing the windows,
Not
just
replacing,
painting.
painting.
Just painting
That
them.
was just an estimate. They didn't do any work, did
And
they?
one of the reasons why Zawalski's price is so high is all that wood, he's gonna strip all of that latex paint off. He's not gonna paint over it. He's gonna strip it all off. That way it's down to bare wood, so they can treat the wood underneath of it with a primer and then paint over top of it. And that's why the price is so steep on that $5,550 is because of all the labor of stripping all around all the windows.
How much would it be just to put a new piece of wood in? And if it's so labor intensive to strip it, if it's that rotten, he's probably gonna damage the wood. What's the cost to put a new piece of wood for the sill?
Well, he's gonna treat the whole structure, right? You're gonna
No,
treat,
Just the windows,
Just
just the windows, not the whole building, just the windows, the window frames, that's all he's gonna do. Cause that's all I asked him to do, because I knew that was gonna be expensive in itself, and he says that we need to strip the paint off the whole building to be able to paint it right. I'm like, well, that's not what I was told by the commercial painter. I mean, he'll scrape all the loose stuff off, but he wasn't gonna strip the paint.
Right.
Because when they redid that building, they tore all the siding off. I mean, they took it off, they didn't tear it off, they took it off. They turned it around and
yeah.
the outside that had been painted for years is now hidden, and they put the backside out. And that's was painted now. That's what you see now is the original backside is facing out.
So can we just flip it?
So I guess, when we asked
Sorry,
the question,
I
we
had to
talked
say
about the money. What, is there a budget? Is there any money to do it? I guess that's where you gotta
Well,
start.
yeah, there's no budget for whatever, I just get prices for you, putting it out there, but I am telling you that I went ahead and had them do these 3 windows, and
So we're gonna have a
I know
bill
I should have
coming.
had an estimate before them, but I just wanted to get those done, so I told him to go ahead and do them. So I'm telling you now is, that's on me, I should've got an estimate on them, but I just told him to fix those 3 windows. But this $5,500 is to do the sills of those 3 windows and the other 4.
Yeah.
It's
So we're
stripping
probably looking $2,500, $3,000 right there.
For them 3 windows, right.
I have a question. If Okiana Hardwoods did the original windows, then they were the ones that put the windows in on the old sills that were rotted.
That's what they was instructed to do.
Oh, okay.
They was instructed to do that.
Okay.
Because I was there when Nancy Poe, Jill Evans, and a bunch of others was all saying, because I remember Ken Zawalski, the dad, saying those need to be replaced. No, we want to keep that. That's original wood.
Okay.
That's what helped them to get their historical stuff. And that's why Zawalski's giving it the price of stripping it. That way you keep that historical wood
You're
there.
painting it, I don't understand what the difference of the wood is. You know, get a piece of pressure treated wood and paint it and you're done.
It doesn't have the texture that
Take a wire brush to
Huh?
Hand chink it or something.
Well, yeah, it's been hand hewn, most likely, to fit into that.
It just seems.
I mean, that's what you get for placing it on the registry.
We're between a rock and a hard spot. If we don't have the money to do it right, I think the right way would be not to put a Band-Aid on it, replace it somehow. We don't have the money to that, we don't even have the money to put the Band-Aid on it. So, but if we leave it go, it's gonna rot out and you're gonna have those 4 windows, the glass is gonna start falling out and windows
Then
are
you're
gonna
gonna have
break.
structural damage inside.
And then here's the other thing, and this is the thing that Zawalski said, he goes, you guys are about 3 or 4 years past repainting that place. He said, that should have been painted 3 or 4 years ago. To the point that he can see his original primer on the windows now. And I don't know how the paint comes off, but Jeff, do you have any idea how after 10 years, paint comes off to where?
It'll wear down to the primer. The primer's a stronger base than, especially latex paint than oil base.
Right.
Because he
If it was
uses
oil
an
base, it
he
probably
uses an
wouldn't sink.
oil-based primer, and he said that you can see his primer now, that the paint,
Right.
because it's on that west face where it hits
Yeah.
all the weather and
Sun.
the sun and the,
If it's an eaten down latex paint, yeah, I can see an oil piece of the base under it.
I mean, I guess my thing is maybe we need to be going to the Historical Society and say, you guys need to belly up some money for this.
The last meeting, they had a budget of $2,000 for their whole budget. And a lot of that is gonna be spent on Christmas in the country and everything else. They don't have any money, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, they don't.
And we don't either, so,
We got deeper pockets than they do. You know, I mean, if it comes down to it, we can't just leave the building fall
no.
apart. We have to do something.
Is there any possible
Grants.
grants that we might go after?
Yeah.
But the rural electric, try for
The
that.
Historic Society should do the grants because it's the society for the building. I think they should be responsible to write the grants for doing it. Now, I looked into this a couple of years ago and I was told that you have to bring things back up the way they were.
Mhm.
But you can only change 30% to new. Now, I don't know if that amount has changed or not, but I think it's their responsibility to get some grants.
They don't own the building, we do.
But if they want that building to remain historical, isn't that their main function? Is to take care of that museum? They have, I feel that they have a finger in the pie, that they need to do something
Skin in the
else than
game.
have meetings.
I agree, but, you know,
Anybody know
we
what
got a
that-
grant writer. And I wouldn't say any of them are probably grant writers. And you gotta choose your words and place them properly to even be eligible. And then you probably apply for 10 grants and maybe get 1.
Joel and Nancy Poe applied for the grant to
To
get that building
rehab it, right?
redone in the first place, so,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jill's done it. Jill's
So
done
maybe
all
we
of
need to
it.
meet with the History Society and talk with them and bring it back up and go from there.
I mean, they could certainly do fundraisers of some kind too to help it. I mean, anything that they could do to aid, and, you know, give some share of it in some form or fashion to alleviate some of the burden we have.
the Helms.
Start charging admission to their meetings. Their meetings fill this room, unlike ours. Have a bake sale.
Okay,
Okay,
That's
we can talk
discussed.
with Jill.
Okay. Sorry about bringing all that big dollar stuff there, that,
Okay.
anyway, I'll get that, to you guys.
Are you done then, Ralph?
About what you wanna do with that or not do with that.
So do we need a PO to pay for the windows that they're working on now?
I don't know how much it is.
We will, so I mean, if you wanna go ahead and make a PO for $3,000, Okie and Hardwoods, that way we at least have that much of it taken care of, and I don't think it'll be more than that, but I don't know that for sure. So again, that's on me for, cause I just was trying to get that done before we lost more of the wood around there and stuff, so.
just wait till we get the bill then?
Yeah, I think so. And then we,
I don't want a bunch of open POs at the end of the year. I want everything closed out I can close out.
okay. Do you think
We'll
they'll
just
have
do it now
How long
and
do you
then
think
when
they'll have it?
It'll probably be at least another week or two, honestly. Because he's trying to get it all done fairly quickly because he knows the historical society wants their building back in the way. I mean, Jill's not too thrilled about it being the way it is now, but it looks presentable because they got that thing going on Saturday there.
Right.
The 20th anniversary.
And the one window is the window in her office, it's in the back, so most people not even gonna see that one. It's just the two on the west side, but it'll still have the one is still where light can come in and stuff.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's enough.
Mr. Galloway? Good to see your smiling face here as well.
Just for the record, I enjoy my walk to the podium, so you can certainly save it, and our white desk will do fine. All right, first of all, the township side, the administration side. I met with, last week I met with Jacob Bruggerman. He's the intern that was going to come last summer and had the family issues. Well, he has now been assigned to us starting the first week or two in January, something in that winter term. Had a great meeting with him, gave him our 2007 Township Manual and Policy book, and he is now going to upgrade that to match the Township ORC's policy manual. So we're all current with ORCs to match our policy manual. There was like two other things he jumped all over, and for the life of me, Connie and I can't think of it, and I couldn't get a hold of him today. And then he's done a lot of studies and training at Miami University, and him and I are going to work on a comprehensive plan for the township, which I've been talking about for a while. So Jacob is on board. He was going to be here Tuesday night, but he could not make it tonight to introduce himself and for the three of you to ask him some questions. But Connie and I met with him. Great kid. Great kid. He inspires to be an administrator at a township of about this size. So unfortunately, he graduates this year, but I think he's going to hang around at least through the summer and put some more time in with us as we work that out with Miami University. Next thing is in your packet, I know this was discussed while I was out and on medical leave, but I did some research this past week with Desmond Miata. This CDBG home community block grant. And the applications were in there for us to go, and I think that the board decided not to do it. Well, I did some follow-up on it, and we are actually eligible for those grants. And it's a percentage of low and moderate income, and it's the same grant they used for the Okeana project. And when I went back in and Connie and I researched it, they did the survey through Okeana, but they only had 24 homes and 54 residents. So I asked Desmond, I said, because Riley and Milford got $150,000 towards their expansion of their fire stations. And he said, oh, absolutely, you can apply for it. It would work, but you have to do, since we're doing it for the entire township, we'd have to do this survey for the entire township for low and moderate income areas. Well, there's no way in the world between now and next Wednesday to get this out, because you have to go canvass everybody and get this out. And I've got the copy of the actual survey here. And basically, you hand it to the folks. They circle how many people live in a house and what their average income is. You bring that all back, and you calculate that all to then their percentages, which is what Ed did for the community center, or the community project down in Okeana, the storm drain. So I got looking back, and it also can go for pavement of roads. So I went back, and in your packet, you'll see these 16 and 17 awards that the county gave. And in the 16, you'll see them selected right under the date. You'll see 16 and 17. 16, they gave City of Fairfield $113,000 for road improvements. They gave sidewalk repair to 7 Mile for $73,000. Road improvements to Hanover for $101,000. Lemon Township, I don't know how many roads there are in Lemon Township, for $248,000, but they got money for their roads. And then if you look at 17, the City of Fairfield got another $113,000. Oxford got a bunch. The one that really brings my attention is Butler County Airport. For airport road paving, got $260,000. I'm trying to still figure out whether there's low and moderate income at the airport. So with that being said, Fairfield got twice in 2 years. Oxford got twice. So what was always told to us is, oh, once you do a grant, you can't get another one for 10 years is not true. They're getting grants every year. To the point of, we could either, now that the fire station's moved and I can't do anything this year, we could use this for pavement. The only thing would be is that Rob would have to identify township roads in an area that we would do a survey on for low and moderate income and do this survey to those folks.
Well, I do remember when we did the Okeana, we could only do in certain areas because once you got out of a certain range, their incomes got too high. We
Yeah.
had to do the same thing when we did Bell Road. We had to cut it back because we went too far. And all of a sudden these people made too much money, we couldn't qualify for the grant. So we had to shorten the project
Well,
to keep us in the, am I right?
Well, I would say if two-thirds of the road are in low and moderate income, and the other third is not, the township would only be out to the third of the pavement of that property.
I'm not against this. I just feel it'd be hard to hit it.
I don't know. I looked today at, I was up and down Bell Road with down trees, and Bell Road from Whispering Woods north, I think, is low and moderate income. It's low and moderate income, and
From your lane, you had to go 6 houses to the north, and then we started there.
Yep.
Their north is low to moderate income.
I guarantee.
But if we went 2 or 3 houses down, there was enough that knocked us out of
And
it.
I don't know if it's specifically in those areas. The trailer park is low and moderate income. I can go around and look at a lot of areas that I think are low and moderate income. Heck, if Okeana is low and moderate income, Church Street and Okeana Drewsburg, there's 54 residents and 24 homes in there that got low and moderate income.
Basically, I'm not
So-
saying against it. I'm just saying sometimes you had to make the areas small to make it qualify because, believe it or not, there's a lot of people that live out here that look like they're low and moderate income, but they're not low and moderate income when you find out.
Well, I would say that I would love to know where City of Fairfield has low and moderate income. I would love to know where City of Oxford has low and mid. Where's Hanover Township's low and moderate income?
Now, when
They got 30,000, and I forget what they get the next year.
When they survey
101,000.
the city of Oxford, they're probably not surveying the property owners, they're surveying the students. They don't have any income.
He said Hanover.
Oh, and now I'm down to Hanover. Hanover's got 101,000 for road improvements and 30,000. So there's almost 150,000. Where's the low and moderate income in Hanover? I think we're the same demographics as Hanover. I think that we would do ourselves justice to identify it per the codes and take the survey out.
All they can do is say no.
Is all they can say no. But if these same areas are getting money every year, again, this is a HUD for low and moderate income. So again, I don't know, maybe Dan can answer this. How in the heck did the Butler County Airport get $260,000 to pave the airport? I'm trying to figure out where low and moderate income is at the airport. So with that being said, I can't see why we wouldn't try it.
Yeah, because
This is the runway. This is to pave the runway. Well, then, if that's the case, then, you know, they're going to allow, they would have allowed $150,000 for me to write one for the fire station, because the whole township would be encompassed in it. We would just have to go out and survey low and moderate income areas, encompass that all in the whole township. In Rob's case, according to Desmond, we would have to say this is the stretch of road we're paving because it benefits low and moderate income. But again, who just got, I think it's in 17. Somebody else just got a significant road paving project.
Well, I
And
mean,
so-
Lemon Township with the 248 was to do South Main Street improvements.
Yeah. So,
On the 2017 for the Morgan Township, Okeana, didn't we get 110?
yep.
Why does it say 100?
Because that's what we were originally supposed to get.
Oh, so this isn't accurate. This isn't what you got, this is.
I think this was their guess. This is where their estimates were. So
are
if
these
somebody
other
didn't
numbers?
if somebody didn't take all their money, they moved it around, which will happen on somebody putting in, and then their project comes down lower, and they may have moved the money back around. So, but what they get from the county is that up there, that total, like 1.7 million is actually what the grant was for 17, and 1.7 million 16 for the 16. So I guess my thing is it wouldn't hurt to identify those areas, and so what Desmond told me is we can actually go out through the year and hand these surveys out, encompass this information. Every September this grant comes out, so we can apply next year. We'll have the data, and then the data is good that we collect for 10 years. So that data that's collected over there in the Okeana is good for 10 years that we have. And Connie and I have that file with the 24 homes in the 57. We got the date on it. We can look.
10 years haven't been up.
We can look.
Aren't up.
Yeah. So you got 6 more years on that. So.
4 years ago, but 3 years trying to get the damn thing done.
Yep. So I'm just saying, as I dug into it, there's money there. If we just go out and identify the areas and put, and again, maybe it's not roads, maybe it's park equipment. Then you just have to do the entire township and pick and choose areas. It doesn't have to be the entire township. So.
Hate to say it, but maybe this pays for the 1858 building with it down there in that area.
That's already been done in that area. So. The problem is it got to us late.
Because there's a lot right
It-
there by it too.
It got the grant.
Where we did all the survey,
That's what I mean.
so go for CBG to repaint and put new windows in it or repair the windows.
I can quickly write one. It's due Wednesday morning. So,
We've got half of it done.
well, I had a half for the fire station, but I can take the survey stuff and I can probably make something happen Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, if you guys want me to do that and try it, I'll do it.
Try it, yeah.
Because I already have the data. So
Can't hurt nothing.
Desmond will get tired of hearing from me, but that's okay.
All they can do is tell us no.
Exactly. So, so there's the admin side. Again, I think we're really going to benefit when we get Jacob in here from Miami University, and then we'll pursue that. And
I guess we're doing more flyers.
we'll get that survey.
The survey things.
Well, this is for
Start doing more
for
areas.
next areas.
For future.
Yeah, for future. Yep, for future. Okay, I'm going to move over to the fire side. Chief Griffith is at the fire chief's meeting tonight, so he's not here. So I am going to tackle the run reports. And you have the run reports there, January to October. I have it misspelled. I have it wrong on our report because it's not November. It's January to October. This year, a total of 376 calls, and last year was 374. So we're right on there. Just a difference in the less fires this year and more EMS calls. Today we ran, I believe, 8 arcing power lines, trees catching on fire this morning, and that's not the ones we stood by with blocking the roads for trees in the roads and all that. That was the actual pages of that, and then a wreck. A gentleman slid off the ice and flipped his vehicle and took a telephone pole out on 129. So basically, we didn't have any fire loss for this month. October did not have any fire loss of this month. And again, we're seeing a decline in EMS calls, and everybody is seeing that because of Anthem Insurance, and the other ones only paying they're not paying now for all these visits. They're paying a flat like $80 fee, and the rest comes out of the people's pockets. So the decline is there from everybody on EMS calls because of Anthem and some of the other big insurance companies cutting back frequent flyer trips to the hospital. Even our folks that we go to a lot have greatly diminished on calling us. Second page is just Ross there. We went to Ross. We had one transport and one non-medical. And then we went to 2 structure fires in their zone. They came to 1 wreck in our zone. So we kind of offset ourselves on fire and accidents. What's that?
How'd you get one from Milford?
Milford. Oh, it was a fire in a tanker.
Okay.
It was a fire, and we took the tanker there. Yep. And then if you just look at the next one, the comparison of 17, you'll see the $330,000 loss. That was a house on Cornelius Lane off Lehigh. So that's the difference in that. It's been a year already for that house. I know it. Next is the tanker 141. Oh, I'm going to come back to the drawing, and I'll do that last. So we'll move down to the tanker. The pump came in from Darley 2 weeks ago. Vogelpool is trying to work us in next week to put the pump into the tanker. So it'll be about a 3-week process to install it, but the tank is in, or the pump is in, and they're going to try and fit us in beginning next week. Next, Lieutenant Schroyer's deployment to Hurricane Michael. We've already paid him, and we'll be submitting next week the paperwork from the state to get reimbursed back on that. You have a letter in there from Chief Miller, says the State of Ohio IMT. Chief Miller was the acting incident commander as I was in the hospital. Great letter he wrote on Lieutenant Schroyer. Just a quick overview of what they did. They went down. The state of Florida really likes our team, so they put us right down at ground zero at Mexico Beach. They got there 2 days after it hit. And basically, the residents there were wandering the streets, living in their cars. There was no shelter opened up. There was no shelters opened up. There was no mass feeding. There was nothing there. The folks were just left on their own. They didn't want to leave because the looters were stealing what was left of their property. So our team went in, was instructed through the state and then through Bay County where they were at to open up shelters and then do a mass feeding, and then the pods, the point of distributions, where you kind of drive through and get your water and your food and stuff like that. So our 16-person team went down there and established that. Within 48 hours, they had high schools up and running and shelters. Why does that come into play is someday this is the school is designated as a shelter, but we could also make this a shelter with a generator and then also the community center. I think today was a small wake-up call today of how the township could get impacted by either a storm or an ice storm. Tom, there was a tree fire there in the corner of Whispering Woods and Lehigh and Bell that I went to today while the squad was on another call. And it's the main feeder line that goes down to Whispering Woods. So I went down Whispering Woods, and past your house, that road was completely blocked. We could have not gotten down there. The trees were hung over down in the road from ice. So I think today was just a small reminder that, we get a tornado in here, or I would estimate today, in some areas we've got 0.3 of an inch of ice, and I think Rob will agree some of the other areas we probably got a 1/2 inch of ice. And it's wonder it didn't bring down more power lines and more trees than it did and cut the township off. So I think that the more we send folks out to this kind of stuff, the more valuable stuff that they can bring back. And he did a great job on that.
Thank you for us.
Will do. And I think that's a great letter for him as well. Before I move to the station and then a couple of POs, I just want to say thank you to the support of the trustees for my absence. It was kind of a shock, as most of you now know. I also want to thank Chief Griffith, Lieutenant Galloway, Lieutenant Browning, firefighter Mark Bittner, firefighter Jeff Maddox, paramedic Buddy Jackson, firefighter Jacob Yon, Chief Steve Miller of Ross, and Chief Schuman of Fairfield Township. All those folks stepped up, filled some gaps, and we were always fully staffed all the days that I was gone and out. That 3 weeks that I was either in the hospital, surgery, or in the hospital. And then the 2 weeks I was home that I couldn't do anything but get off the couch and watch Netflix. So anyway, I just want to, on record, thank all those folks for filling in and gapping, and I think that's just a testament to this department and the people that have a true pride in the department as well. So, as you know, I'll be back to full duty, but really not full duty, December 10th. But I still have limits on lifting and stuff even after the 10th for a few more months. So, anyway.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You better buy a lottery ticket.
Yes. I definitely. I'm going to do the 2 POs, and then I'll come back to the station here. So the first one is in your packet. It says at the top, ESO. I need a PO for 2159 to Firehouse. We use this for a lot of our fire EMS inventory reporting. We use it for also our fire inspections that we put in. This as a master file in the cloud for the Firehouse software.
Did you change the?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
Yes.
Sold to?
Contact.
That has been changed, I guarantee you, by Chief Griffith. Yes. Yes.
All right.
The PO needs to be the ESO.
All right, I'll make a motion to issue a PO to ESO Firehouse Software for the 2019 year for $21,000 or $2,159.
So moved, or second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And second is we received our first bill from Brandstetter and Carroll, and that was for $3,500. The full amount for the drawings, the concept drawings, and all that will be $7,000. And I know we talked originally about that coming out of the fire department budget for now, and then looking at the bond later on. So we have a bill in there for now for $3,500, and Connie just decided that we would do a PO for the whole $7,000. As I talk about this, they've come in and done the concept drawings, and we had a few changes that I'll discuss. They're in the process now of doing the blueprints, the structural engineering, and the drawings of that. And they should be bringing that back between Thanksgiving and Christmas to have the final approvals of that. And then they suggest that it doesn't go out for bid until after the first of the year, because if you put it out to bid around Christmas, people are just going to throw an erroneous number out there because they don't want to take the time. So with that being said, when this other half is done, we would expect to get the other $3,500 bill. So we just figured we would just do the PO for the $7,000 out of the fire account 2111.
I'll make a motion to issue a PO to Brandstetter Carroll in the amount of $7,000 for the conceptual drawings of the firehouse renovation addition.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I met with Eric Chambers and Wes, that group, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and I'll bring this over here in just a moment. And this is the concept drawings that they have, and from that we've kind of moved some things around, and then that's where they will go towards the blueprints and the final drawings. So I'll drag this out here. No, it's less than 10 pounds.
Okay.
I'm good. Bye, Dave. Dan. Sorry, guys. Okay, so this is the concept drawing, and what you're going to see is the existing
You guys want to
station.
come up so you can see?
Yeah, you can come up so you can see. 4,000 square feet, but to bring it in this way and expand it out this way. So with that being said, it went from 20 feet here to 34. And Rob and I walked out there and looked at the 34, and there's still plenty of room to get around the back and to his barn and get trucks around and come out and get plenty of room still back there. So with that being said, this is the main hallway, and everything above it was actually perfect. This is the fitness room here, bathrooms here, a full locker room with 41 lockers in it. And the lockers are actually 18 by 18 inches wide, 6 foot high, so they're very big. The officer's bunk room, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 bunk rooms here for future expansion. Me and Dale were talking today. You plan for the future, not for the moment. And this is, if this ever expands, you'll have full 5 bedrooms in here. Down below here, we made a few changes. They had my office here, and the assistant chief's here, and the duty officer, the daily officer on duty here, and a storage, and then another officer's room here. Well, we switched it. We made this the assistant chief, Chief Griffith's office. We're going to expand mine up a little bit more, and then take the duty officer up a little bit more, and make these the 2 offices. And then this is going to be the copy room, mail room, print room, and things of that nature, because we just don't need these 2 together. So that's that, plus, again, knocking the day room out and expanding the day room into this area here. So that's a concept. So we really only changed that, plus we added windows. They don't have windows on these bunk rooms in the offices. We added that, and that was really the main part of it. The training room this is my office right now. So we would tear those walls out. We would make 1 full training room and raise the ceiling, because there's enough room to raise the grid ceiling. And this is currently, it's my office, a little bedroom, and then the office and bunk room of the officer. So that would do that. This is a little tiny bedroom, and when they did the first expansion, I don't know why they didn't move the wall out all the way out to the window, but we're going to move that out and then make this the EMS lab, which currently right now, when we have training for like IV arms or the intubation head, we have to set it out and then take it away. This way, that stuff will already be set there, so any time of the day, Monday through Sunday, the medics can go in and say, hey, let's go in here and practice intubation. All that equipment will be set up there all the time for them to go in and practice. The other thing in this that we really, and again, it's very cramped the way it's built there, is we're going to expand the kitchen out, so we'll make an actually a larger L-shaped counter with pantries, a dishwasher, and we're lucky that the sink, there's this island now with a sink and water, so we can actually turn the island that's this way now, go this way, go further out, and make a larger kitchen here. It's just 2 people can't even get in there and cook and clean right now. So that's the first floor. The upstairs, which is current, this office is current now, with 3 desks shoved in there. The training captain, Captain Fawns, our inspectors are in there, and then Lieutenant Galloway's his desk is there for the EMS coordinator. We're going to move her up out of there and up into the 4th bedroom that's there now, and then we're going to box in this area here where the weight equipment is and make that the EMS storage area and make it lockable with security there. This is the area that right now we can't build on because there's no load-bearing walls. So in that package, they're going to come back in and retrofit 5 walls. So this will be eventually load-bearing for future growth in the next 10, 20 years if you want future growth up in here in this area. And then this attic will be above over top of this. So there'll be enough attic, not really to step and walk in at 6 feet, but there'll be enough area to get kind of in here and get some storage in this area.
Will there be a floor put in that space right there?
Above this for trusses, yeah, we'll put
Well,
a
where
floor
that
in there.
future,
This?
yes.
Yeah, there's already rafters across here. It's just that even though the rafters are across there, these walls here, this wall here, this wall, this wall, this wall, this wall, and part of this wall aren't load bearing. So for some reason, they put rafters over here on top of non-load bearing walls.
So the second floor, the way it's being designed, will never be able to be expanded? It's not gonna have a high enough ceiling, is that what you're saying?
This, the attic, I need to clarify that, Tom, because originally, they were talking about, being able to walk in here and have this space. The issue that I don't know, and again, I'm not really planned this, but the station, the thought process that we have right now with the station is this: if you're looking at it this way, and here's the 3 doors, is that would come off of here like this and down. So I don't know if there's gonna be enough, I don't know how high up they're gonna go on the trusses and how much attic space they leave on top of it.
So they're not gonna tie onto the peak?
They're not gonna tie up here to the peak, no, they're gonna come down off of it and tie.
I thought they were originally gonna go to the peak of the existing building. The highest point.
They didn't explain that
Actually,
to me.
doesn't the peak go the other way?
No, that's the way it
That's
goes.
right.
They did not
Sure,
explain
runs
that
this
to
way.
me. I was always, what we had always roughly talked about is coming in a little bit down off of it, going this way to save money, to save money on trusses and stuff, so. We'll clarify that in what their structural engineers planned, because this, when I saw this, I realized, well, you got attic above here, I thought there wasn't gonna be enough with the way you're doing this, because they're just gonna truss off and to save money on that, so I'll get a clarification on that for sure. The other thing that they had talked about when you guys interviewed when I was in Oregon was putting the bunker here in a separate area so it wasn't contaminated with diesel fumes and everything like that. So they added this as future, and this is basically the existing wall now, and punching doors through here, building this out here. There's actually 41 lockers in here with a decon room and a tool and SCBA room to work on air packs. Great idea. I would jump on this in a second, but Rob and I have talked about how logistically a nightmare this is, because the generator's here now, and all the utilities run underground under here.
And how close would that be to the line?
Well, Dale's gonna get us a variance, so we're okay on that.
Oh, I've got to accept it immediately, huh?
Yeah, Dale get us a variance for, so, we had made some discussions, and Brett had mentioned it too tonight, but we had made some discussions of making this and coming it over here, off of this area here, and this area, and then you would really only just lose the parking spots, and you can encompass this bay door here by going out, so guys would be bringing it here through this room right directly into the bay that way. That's another option that's out there, because after they drew this and we talked about it, like, I don't know if this is gonna work because of all the utilities that are under there.
Yeah.
But this works very well, this works very well here, and this works well here to make it happen. This is just some future stuff that they drew in there, as they presented to you and talked to us about firefighter cancer prevention. But that's a concept drawing. We made these changes. They're now back doing the initial blueprints in their CAD drawing computer program, and we'll take a look at them between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay?
So the way that addition's gonna be added, I thought we talked originally that we wanted to look at future of expanding bay for, so we were gonna basically, will we be able to add a bay on the west side of that?
Right. We talked and looked at that. Unless we get like 10 nursing homes and a couple thousand house developments here, I don't see the department ever getting above 4 people for many years. Right now, with really 2 volunteers and a few folks that live in the township, if they come off duty to a call and they're not working somewhere else, I got more trucks than I got people.
Okay.
Now, the old saying is you never get rid of something that's paid for. So I've got a rescue truck sitting here that I think I've got the statistics of how many times it went out in a year. It's like, it's 5 times a year it went out on a call because we don't have it staffed. But it's paid for, so do I get rid of it or what? But we need the second engine, which is down in Shandon. We're looking at getting rid of that Argo, because that Argo is just, we never use it, and it's a carbureted engine, and every time they go to start it, the thing doesn't want to start and run. And EMA has actually offered us and Ross to store their Bobcat, their four-wheel Bobcat here. So that's been some discussion. The guys are all like, get rid of that thing, it doesn't run, and it's a pain in the butt. So at some point, we've looked at reducing some of our fleet. We also had the idea of taking the International engine 142, and when we replace the tanker, and make it a pumper tanker, and eliminating 2 vehicles down to 1. If we did that, that would fit in this bay, and we would really get rid of another vehicle down at 142. So I don't ever see us adding any more fleet.
Okay.
Because we have a main squad and a backup squad. We have the primary engine, the rescue truck, and the tanker, and then we have the battalion that sits back here. I don't, it'd be great to add more trucks, but with add more trucks, you have no more staff, and I just don't see us having more than 4 people for many years of staff. So.
And I would even add to that too, even thinking about land use plan moving forward, I don't see us getting, with so much of the land tied up in Three Valley Trust, I don't think you're gonna build a whole lot out here. You
Well,
might get more houses, but you're not gonna get a whole lot of.
You've got Madison Township had 3 fire stations. They now, I know they're in the process of building, and I don't know when you're gonna move in, but they're shrinking all theirs back to 1 main station because the cost of operating 3 fire
places
stations,
to
the
one.
lack of volunteers now to even get to that station. Hanover runs with 1 central, we run with 1 central, and really the way this is situated, it's in a great location to cover the whole township. So I think we have adequate base space for the trucks that we're going to utilize. This will make this sufficient that I don't see, unless something really goes hog wild here in 10, 15, 20 years, I see 1 fire station servicing all of Morgan Township to where it's located at. And again, it would be a cost savings to the township to just run 1 main station, and have 142 kind of supplying or housing the backup equipment. But that's our future plan, and now that we've expanded the life of the tanker for probably 5 more years, we'll keep that, but in 5 years, it'll put that, at 25 years, and it'll put the Rosenbauer, the International, at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, so it's 6. 11, 3, 4, 5, so take it 11 years. So 11 years and 25, we probably will shrink those 2 vehicles down to just the tanker, which will be fine, because if we get into 5 to 7 more years and we run 4 people, we'll have 3 on the engine, 1 on the tanker, or 2 and 2, and that you're bringing almost 3,000 gallons of water with 2 trucks. So again, that's my plan. That's our kind of our overall future growth and plan. And then that rescue truck, right now, it carries all of our swift water and ice rescue equipment, all of our heavy rescue equipment, and we're gonna have to start refurbing some of our extrication equipment here. I just got the shock today of how much extrication equipment costs. But the truck is a valuable truck, and it's paid for, and it's a 2006, and it's only got 9,000 miles barely on it. To say we have a place to house it, we can keep it, instead of getting rid of it and a year later saying, man, I wish I had got rid of that truck. We could have used it. So that's kind of that, and questions, comments?
No, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into it, and I appreciate that, but I'm just going back 2.5 years ago, we were trying to acquire land to build another firehouse. So what changed?
So that, when I walked in here, that was kind of a drive-by by a couple of trustees, by Daryl and Nancy and Ed Teets, to find something on the California Street, or California Road area, because of our long responses down to Northwoods
downstream
Yep.
to now,
Yep, and they didn't want to, you know.
I just
we-
want to make sure we're doing the right
Sure.
thing.
And they, when you take, and AC's done some great IT and GIS stuff, when you take this station, you do 5-mile loops around here, we pretty much cover the entire township in a 5-mile radius except for some bottom stuff and down around the county line and some of the stuff farther out, like North Dwyer and out on the very corner. But that was driven by some ideas of response times that were gonna be so far away. The other thing was driven by is at the time, that was a pretty good deal for that house at 6 acres at $375. They did not want it, I don't know, Brett, you can mention a little bit, they prolonged for so long. Well, it's $385, and Tyler Mingus said if you offer $385 cash, you'll get it. The other two trustees just drugged their feet, and somebody came in and put a cash offer on underneath them, and they took it. I think they waited 3 weeks before they made a decision to even act on it. Once that was done, we looked at a couple pieces of land, but then I kept telling them, you know, you got a lot of expense here for a short amount of calls that were here. I mean, I literally walked into that. When I got here in June, they were like, we need something down that south end. There's just, we have this long response time down there. That's where a lot of tax base is. Well, it is, but you also have to be practical and say, you know, we can cover it. We have, in the past, there was absolutely zero communication or working relationship with Harrison from the former administration. Now, we train together and we automatically have them in automatic mutual aid runs with us. So Harrison, we had a fire alarm down there on Northwoods Pass about maybe 3 months ago, and we literally both all pulled up together at the same time. So they're right there. The biggest delay they have is our dispatch calling at Cincinnati to then turn around and get them dispatched. If we could make a phone call and say, hey, come with us, they would have probably beat us there. So that drive was there by the greatest tax base down on that California road area, and they thought this was far away after we did some 5-mile circular roads, GIS studies and stuff, and run volume. It did make sense.
The previous fire chief was trying to get the ISO rating down to try to get everybody that lived down that area cheaper insurance rates.
Keep it
He
under
was
that
also
5 miles.
driven by that because he sold insurance, so.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just putting that out there.
5 miles away will drop, now it's a 5.5. The only difference is now with the ISO rating, because it's a 5 and 5Y or 5X, the Y is just designated, it is the same services, it's the same 4 people, it's the same fire trucks, it's the same amount of water, it's just past the 5 miles. It used to be the old 7, 9, 7,
As I
5
say, they
mile, and
changed the way
9
they
after.
rated that as well.
They've eliminated that because just because I'm 5 miles farther away from your house than I am at 2, I'm still bringing the same amount of trucks and the same amount of people, the same amount of water. And that's what the fire chiefs over the years fought with the ISO. What's the difference? As soon as you hit 5 miles, well, I'm only going to send 2 guys in 1 truck. No, we don't do that. So that's why that is. So just because they're 5 miles farther, their insurance does go up a little bit, but not to the significant of like a 2 or 3 percentage points that used to be the old 5, 7, 9 or 7, 10 or whatever. It's again, practicality and financially and fiscally sound was Metro Parks wanted to give us the town, and that was the other thing I was working on the day I got here, is Metro Parks and that 162 acres over there at Salamana Run, they wanted to give us the land, 5 acres, but we had to build a station that was estimated to cost over $1 million. You were half a mile from Ross, half a mile from Riley, and a half a mile from Hanover in that corner. It wasn't even close to our being centralized, and we hardly ran any calls up there because we did a run statistic. So I told the trustees, why in the world would you want to spend $1 million just because the land's free doesn't mean it's a great deal. And when Metro Parks threw on there that we had to build a pavilion and shelter and all that, you know, Roger Gates says, I wouldn't walk from this deal, I'd run from it. And that's when we decided not to
And it was
build a
gonna be their
million-dollar
building.
station.
Yeah.
And not to build a $1 million station a half mile from Ross. So, to answer your question, Tom, is that was kind of driven by some of the former folks here and Ed Teagues that, you know, hey, we have an area down here that's a high tax base, and at times when I was like, well, let's start looking.
Yeah.
So,
Well, luckily, the deal fell through, and whoever drug their feet, or whatever, but we would've been stuck with it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
and if we had done that deal now, we would've had to hire a fourth guy, because you'd have to have two here, two over there. And really, if you look at that area over there, they hardly run any calls over there. They be bored to death over there.
Plus, part of the old way the ISO rating was, actually drove you to do more locations than it did central.
The old 7-9 or.
To get it,
now-
you had to have all these
Right.
to make it.
I totally agree.
And once that changed.
I totally agree.
Sure.
We're spot on right now, but
Yep, and like I
I
said.
just wanted to bring that up because right before I came in,
Yep.
that was the hot topic,
That was
was
the
we
hot
gotta get
topic.
land and build a new firehouse.
And that was kind of driven by two, and then, you know, a piece of land came up, 11 acres, piece of property came up. And we looked at that and thought, well, you know, if the township could afford it, we could, in the future, put a fire station up front and then make the back 8 acres a park. And then that property was kind of bought right out from underneath us.
Yeah.
I
He's
kind of
regretting it,
warned
Bill.
them not to make an open statement about that property.
Yep.
That didn't work.
And it got snatched up.
Former elected official here bought it right out from under us, so.
I think he'd sell it though right now.
What's that?
I think he'd sell it.
Yeah. But I think really our due diligence of a central location and our response times and our GIS data, the 5-mile radius, I mean, this is really the best location for our one and only main station, so.
I agree.
Any questions from you guys? Joe?
I got a quick question for you, Chief.
Yep.
On that attic space,
Yep.
how much are you actually saving by not making that a full second story?
I'll find that out. I don't know that.
Because
I
it just,
don't know.
to me, it would make sense to make that a full second story, if nothing else, to have it as a multi-purpose room for meetings.
Well, you're gonna change the whole pitch the way you do a roof, the way it's joining that building if you go a full second story, because we only got 2 stories over there now. So you gotta think of that too. That'll change a lot more dynamics than what you're thinking.
Well, I understand that, and you don't have to go 10 foot tall, you can only go 8 foot tall, because we don't have any 7'8" firemen
Yeah.
yet, yeah. And you bend over and walk, we get one, but
You can't have you have to build on your original station for anything that you use. Like, it was me and I was running a business, and I had a problem with equipment storage. I would consider a different building, you know, not on that, which would be less
A separate
expensive.
building?
Please?
A separate building?
Yeah, I wanna say pole barn, but I know you guys ain't gonna like
Oh,
that.
that is
But
a
I'm
pole
just
barn.
saying, if you're trying to, if you're
That is
trying
a
to
pole
cover,
barn.
It is a pole
cover your
barn,
trucks, and you don't have to, you know, if you got a storage problem, you don't have to have all this heat, because people aren't in there, or if you do have heat, you don't have to have it so.
I guess storage ain't the main thing, it's the bunkhouse and the room for the living quarters.
what I
Yeah,
was going
but-
at is your
but-
sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Well, no, that's what I'm just saying, if you could, if there's stuff in there, that you're trying to stuff it all into one thing, okay? Why can't you separate out, you know, I could care less about a truck, you know, as long as it's covered and it has a, you know, it's not freezing, you're fine. You see what I'm saying? And you're.
The only problem is most of all is that our vehicles have to be heated. One, you got water, and you got your medical.
Right, but you don't have to have it. How warm is your firehouse?
60 degrees in the winter.
But where your people are, it's warmer than
if that's 34 feet, and that's almost square, it's almost a 34 feet wide, real close to that.
Yeah.
Just from that little thing there, if you took that over, that's on, you're in the ballpark.
Hey,
All
Jeff,
I'm saying is you're putting, you got all this here, and that's like a house, you know, you gotta have it all finished and all that.
It's wider than 35.
Is there any way?
I think it's 40 foot wide. I think this is 40 foot wide this way instead of the 50.
But what I'm saying is on your roof, you bring your roof out from the existing roof that's on the firehouse,
Yeah,
you bring it out to the end, and then you have two pieces that come out this way where the roof goes a different angle, but it ties into that roof. That way you still have the same elevation that you do in the, what's there now, you still have that same elevation, you could have a meeting room up there.
your peak of your roof is coming out the west side.
Yeah, it's not, it's
It's
opposite
not
the way.
like that. See, Jeff? Okay, he's gonna redraw it. See, Joe? So if you continued the roof line of the existing building, you could get at least the center part of that, a second floor.
Right. So right now, if you're looking,
Well, yeah,
at the station right now from
that'd be a
140.
good thing, is
from
that-
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think there's a lot more cost there.
Second, and then everything that's out beyond this way, then you have the thing going out, and that could be just an attic storage space,
Show me that picture again.
That's not, you're still not right.
That's
You're still not right.
No, you got
The peak of the roof is on the
Goes
west
the opposite
side.
way.
It's facing it.
There.
Yeah, right there.
So if you
It's
continued
opposite
that
way.
straight out to the west,
And he's talking about putting that along here. Look.
Yeah, it could go up this way, but what I was saying is if you
Yeah.
took this and extended out that 40 feet that goes out here, and then this is 60 some or whatever it is, this way is, if you just had a second story from the,
And then remember, you're gonna
from
peak
here to
this
the
off.
backside there, and then whatever
Here,
sticks out
right.
here and what the
Down.
35 foot out the back,
What
that would
he's
be
saying
just that.
is continue
Just
to
extend it
go
over.
down,
Would be your attic
and then
space,
your
but
roof
you
is
still
actually
have
gonna come
a
down.
second story multi-purpose room, like a training room or something.
I think Brett's got it.
What Rob's saying is here, the roof line's gonna actually go down, come back up here to that. So that'll all be roof. And then if you look at it from the side.
So where's the living quarter part? This?
Yeah.
Under it?
Yeah. This is this right here.
I see what you're saying. So
He's saying
you're
take-
really taking the trusses and keep going straight out
Right.
that
Yeah, he's
way.
gonna go over,
Yeah,
but
this
they're
is-
gonna
this
come
is
down
gonna have-
farther.
this is
But
gonna
that's
have a
gonna
peak
add a
roof
lot of
like
value,
this.
or a lot of price to that.
All the way down to here, and then this would be like a pitched roof. So the building would look like this, like from the side. This would be the roof. It would just continue over, but you'd have a ridge line for the roof would just continue
Yeah.
over here.
Okay. I
And
got
then
it.
we come all the way down, and come all
I
over here.
got it.
Then up here, you would have, this part would have,
And then,
you know, the way.
But all this right here is the second story.
Well, if we did that, I will say this, if that happens, we would put an entrance here or here, because I don't want every Joe Blow citizen walking through the middle of our fire station, including the drugstore, to get into this community room.
It wouldn't be a community room.
Oh, well, that's what Bob was saying.
No, it would be for you guys.
Multi-purpose room,
Oh.
for the fire department,
For you
for you to
guys.
have fire training.
I'm gonna say,
Well, but that's all right, I'm just saying that would be way future, because you already have this as a training room here. You already have that, and then you have these open areas here that we haven't even done anything with. This is like 1,100 square feet here, so
Could you take?
you're really adding a lot of space to a station, but that's good for future.
I don't know what the square footage is here, but could you incorporate your bunker here, there, and then put your training room here?
I think we're getting,
We would just need some kind of a main barrier, because the bathroom's right here.
and a lot of
Some kind
price.
of a main barrier that stuff doesn't impede through the walls or up and over the.
And I don't
attic.
disagree with it,
Here,
but
put
I'm
bunkers
just-
here.
We're only gonna do this once, I'm
I
not
know.
saying do it, but at least throw it out there.
Well, I think off of here to get this in and not have, because I mean, we still have this 1,100 square feet here that's still open. And if we're gonna do that, we might as well bust these rooms into here, make it bigger, or make this the room now while we're doing the construction, and then that's way later down the road. But we're just trying to do cost.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the original design request was to make the second floor expandable.
Well, that was this.
That was the existing
That
one,
was the
that's
existing.
nothing there.
That was here, that's basically.
Vacant
it's
space.
nothing. That's 1,100 square feet here, that's nothing. This is basically, that right there is this upstairs right now. And this is offices and the weight room and the hangar room. This is 1,100 square feet here, that's nothing. And when we were talking about making the low-grade walls, it was, so this could be future 1,100. Use then.
Cause if
And
you
when they
lift
pop
the
that
ceiling
on
tiles
the
down there,
end,
you can see all the way to the roof.
Right.
Yeah, you can pop up my ceiling tile and look straight to
Sure.
the ceiling now, because they never finished it. And again, if they had, remember 2 years ago, when we started this project, if they had made those walls there load bearing, we could have done and redone this
Oh,
up
yeah.
here and made it, and been really inexpensive.
Yeah.
But they
Wasn't-
didn't make it, and if it was you, I'm like, thank you very much, Tom. It's like, why is it going up? Let's go out. And I'm like, man, if I go out, I can put a whole lot more use in there than cramming 4 bedrooms and all that in that little 1,100 square feet. So,
Just food for thought.
well.
Not
I will-
saying we
we'll
have to
talk-
do it, but
when they
just-
meet, in fact, I can give them a shout tomorrow and say, where are you at in your drawings? Here's another option that they came up with.
I mean, if it adds $200,000, then no, but if it's something that we can, it would also, I think, would tie make it look like it wasn't added on.
Yeah.
It would go with the same structural design of the building now, it would just be 40 foot longer.
Yep. And just, for some cost savings, we talked about this, the whole station is brick, and it's a pole barn, Joe. It's bricked over a pole barn is what the station existing is. But really, I consider, maybe I'm wrong, but I consider the front of the station this that faces 129, or 126, this ain't Brookville. So the idea for cost saving is to continue the red brick to here, so this is the front of the station, and then these 3 sides here, or this side back to here, that'd be either hardy planking or some other finish, because I can't see spending thousands of dollars for red brick this to face a field. It just, to me, it doesn't make any financial sense. So, but you guys may overrule and say, no, we'd like to keep it brick all the way around, and that could be an estimate. Say, brick it all the way around. Again, this is, we're going from a 1993 building that's.
It was for volunteer to
And the living space right here is under 1,800 square feet, this whole area here, well, really,
Yeah, 'cause when
it's
they
less
built
than
it-
that.
When they built that building in '93, they cut a bunch of it out to try to save money, but they was only looking at then, what was happening right then with the trucks they had then. Because the building that was originally drawn up came 10 foot further to the south and 10 foot further to the north. There was 20 feet that was cut off of that building. So your bays would have been 40 foot longer than what they are now, had they not cut that out of the building and shrunk it. Plus you also, the second story was gonna be a true second story, and they shrunk that down by 2 feet. That's why your ceiling height's so low, much lower in there, all to save money to get it, cause their goal was to get it under $400,000, so they got it to 380 something or whatever. Cause it would've been almost 500, I think, if they'd have left it the way it was.
Right. And then are you doing that now?
What's that?
Trying to save money and cutting everything, and I know it's horrible. We don't have the money maybe, but are we?
Yes and no.
Are we trying to save money and then, you know, sometimes you.
Yeah, because now it's costing us more,
Yeah, you just,
you know,
you're trying to work.
We're trying to get the space that we
24
need
years
to
later,
get,
we're
but we
spending
don't
more
wanna
money
do
now
it
because we saved money.
elaborate.
1993.
But I guess
Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
some of the thought process there, some of the thought process there we had is this is very practical for us and for four people, because I don't see five in here for many years unless, like I said, they build nursing homes and all that kind of stuff. This is practical for four people to live in here. This is a good sized training room for our people because we only have 4 in a day at 32-man roster, and I'm not gonna get them all in here at one time. And if I do, we walk over to here versus adding more trusses and stuff to build this thing, when I can come over here and have a bigger training room here, and I still have 1,100 square feet here that was for future growth. So if I only put 3 bedrooms in, I would be doing myself injustice because at some point you're gonna have a 4th or who knows whatever. So I thought this was planned for about 41 lockers. If we get 41 staff, I would be shocked.
It's planned for the future.
I think this is planned for the future with still existing growth of 1,100 square feet in here. So with this, if you put a smaller truss out and not have a real attic in it, I think that would save some money in trusses, but I could be wrong too, because I'm not a builder and I'm not an estimator.
It would.
So,
Wasn't the original one also, just because we were all in here, and it was never to be made, and because houses weren't going to be built out here, it's not going to be booming out here, we'll always get all this farmland, and that was one of the trustees.
Well, one of the things is they did anticipate us being a paid department in 20 years.
Right.
And we was a paid department within 15 years of that building being paid or built.
Yeah, it was, this is
So-
just a little enough township, Mayberry.
And not to knock the,
RFD, and that was it.
and not to knock the trustees, but, now you got a bathroom, quit complaining.
Again,
It was basically, now you've got a bathroom.
Now you got a bathroom, quit
Quit
complaining.
complaining.
Yeah, 'cause our other firehouse, we didn't have a bathroom, we had to go out and.
Out behind the building.
guys had to go in between the old firehouse and the 1858 building, the poor girls, they had to go home or go across the street, get some of those beds.
Let me ask you this question real quick.
Yeah.
You got 4 guys on all the time now.
No, we have 3 on.
3 on, okay.
We have 3 on, plus me during the week, and then from Thursday to Sunday, we have 4 on. But eventually we want to have 4 full-time around the clock, but for now it's 4 Thursday to Sunday.
So if you had 2 full-time people, the way that that's set up right now, that would still work.
Yeah, because I have 5 bunk rooms and 41 lockers, so even if I add,
You got that extra.
I've got the 4 there, and even if I add the 5th, I still have a 5th bedroom for that person, right?
And if we absolutely had to, you got the 1,100 square feet, if you did 2 more, if you had to.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's 50% staffing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a lot of growth.
And they went from what, Rob, 2 people paid in 11 or 12 to then 11. They went 2 people paid in 11 to then 3 people paid in 13 or 14 to now in 16. It was a year after I got here, we increased the 4 during the weekends when we're the most busiest. And even 5, Mike, if you get down the road in 5, 10 more years and have 5 on duty here, that's I can't see having more than 5, because by that time, you're gonna be relying on mutual aid and other folks.
Yeah, in 2010, we only had a 12-hour shift, and it was EMS basically only.
Now, remember, if we go and start allowing sewers to come in here, which I've been told that might possibly happen, you're gonna grow pretty quick if sewers come here.
I think even 5 people, I think even 5 is the max for this station, is for this zone is again, if you put in developments, folks, you need to say that that developer has to pay, donate land for a fire station and pay impact fees.
They let one go into Ross.
So, but again, we'll address it when they get here. That was the concept, original concept drawing, and we can address that attic space and that extra stuff. But other than that, I am done. Sorry it took so long, but
That's because we all.
Yeah, we chimed
All
in.
chimed in.
I'm all for
Anything else
Yeah,
for Jeff?
he opened with, just a quick question.
I'm all for comments, so.
I'm good for that. All
Yeah,
right.
you, I've got a quick question, and now 30 minutes later.
All right. Ms. Reinhardt.
Okay. The first thing is, I need your approval to pay the Bureau of Workers' Compensation premium in the one annual payment so that we can receive our 2% discount. They are saying our premium will be $27,762, so that will give us a discount of $555.24. Even if we don't pay it all at one time, we're gonna have to come up with the other half like in February or March, so it's not like we've got 6 months to finish it.
So moved. Second.
Okay,
Where'd Carol go?
she was having trouble with her eyes.
Okay.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried. I'll wait till I actually get the bill to do the PO, but I think it's gonna be pretty much spot on. Then I need a PO for Vogelpool Fire Equipment for $1,148.80 for repairs to tanker 141.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried. So it's gonna be
Can I
110.
just make a comment, that one and the one after the next one, the tanker, the engine, that stuff was done while I was in the hospital, so I couldn't come and do the POs, but that is our annual, safety inspection and preventive maintenance on those two trucks that used to not happen. So that's what those two are.
Okay, the next one is a PO for Kaffenbarger Truck Equipment Company for $2,000 for repairs to Rob's trucks number 1 and 3.
So moved.
Second.
That's just for parts, we did the repairs ourselves.
Okay. Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion carried. And then the third one is to Vogelpool again for $1,168.37, and that's for engine 142.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion carried. Tom and Brett, you might remember every year in December, UAN holds a year-end class to tell us all the new things and to remind us what we need to do to close out one year and open another. In the past 2 years, I have traveled to Columbus to take this class. This year, I'm going to do it as a webinar right here in my office. That will be December 4th from 8 to 4 with a lunch break of about an hour. So that day, I'm not going to be available to do anything because I've got to keep up with the webinar. And that's going to save us about $175 by, me not going up there, because you have to be there by 7:30, which means I would have to leave here by 5 in the morning, and this old lady ain't traveling to Columbus at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, guys. So when I keep harping on you guys, we got to save money. I'm trying to save money too. I gave you a copy of the grassroots clippings, the trustees. It's in your mailbox. Jeff and Rob and Dale have already received theirs. It includes information on the Ohio Township Association Winter Conference. It was also in the magazine that we received this week. I talked to Gary Selman about the workshops last Thursday night, and he said that they know which ones, they just don't know what the schedule is. That should be out hopefully next week. Registration and hotel reservations are now open. I want to remind Brett and Jeff that you need to take the public records training for each term that you're in office, and that is being offered on Wednesday at the OTA conference. So just keep that in mind. And in executive, I have some comments about this too. And I just need executive session for personnel.
Okay.
Connie, on that, do we register for this conference ourselves using our cards?
Yes. Yeah, and you are OTA members, so when it asks, everybody is an OTA member, so it's the $50.
Does anybody have, do you guys have a particular hotel you stay at?
Well, we're gonna discuss that in executive,
Oh,
so I can let you know tomorrow.
okay.
Okay?
Oh, I will be out December the 7th to attend, at St. Clair College, a, planning, training piece as well. $50 is all I spent on that, so. And it's all day.
You're done, Connie?
Yes, I'm done.
I have nothing,
Okay. Mr. Brocker?
Well, as we know, it's getting colder, and as the weather changes, the thresholds on the doors at the community center start to rise, and the doors either won't open or they won't lock. So we put it off. We may have put it off too late, or too long, but I wanted to bring it back up. We had an estimate of what, 4,000, Rob? 43. Again, it may be too late to do it, I don't know, because they were gonna pour new concrete thresholds and everything, so may have waited too long, but the building basically, it sometimes is unsecure because you can take a good hard hit and open the doors, and it just pops the lock, so. I guess, do we try to do it before it gets worse weather, or do we wait until spring? And how long are we gonna put it off? It's inevitable, we gotta do it.
Well, if we're gonna do it, are we gonna put the lock in it
I think
and
we
try to
should.
save the money
If we do that, then we can
about
save.
the opening and closing?
If you're gonna do that, then we can't get rid of the internet service down there because those locks have to have internet in order to work.
I thought we were under a 5-year contract or something for the internet anyway, weren't we?
We are, but, you know, thinking down the road, I'm just saying. 'Cause I asked Chris about that, and he said, yeah, if you're gonna go to electronic lock, you've gotta have internet. So, just throwing that out there.
It's actually, but that lock is pretty slick because we have a guy that'll forget his key fob, and within 2 minutes or less, AC Chief Griffith can go in, program, and give that person a 1-day temporary punch key pass. And then when he leaves the next morning, the lock is gone, it's gone, you can't use it ever again. That's pretty slick, he can do that in like 2 minutes or less. So,
I guess my question is, can we use the same software on that door down there?
I don't see why not. It's the same
Yeah, but it's the same lock.
system, it's the same lock. I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
Cause I've tried to get that done since I've been here. Cause I think that would save, cause I don't know how many times Rob's had to go, I've had to go, and unlock that thing from time to time. And there for a while, we didn't have anybody open it, had the boys doing it. Each took a week, which I thought was kinda, took away from their
What are we spending
personal
to
time,
open
if
the
you know what I'm
doors?
trying to say.
Oh, yeah, approximately $3,000 a year to pay Judy to open and close it and lock the door. I did a little cost analysis real quick tonight.
And I know when we discussed this 2 years ago, one of your concerns, Joe, was if the people leave, they could leave a coffee pot on, at least we got another set of eyes coming in, and they're, you know, making sure the lights are out, there's no faucets running, there's, you know.
Somebody's responsible.
I understand that. There is some benefits to that, but
There's pluses
there's a
and
cost
minuses.
to that too. So, I guess I'm just throwing it out there again, that if we're gonna do something, do we do it now, or do we wait till spring? But we can't keep, we gotta do something on those doors.
about it, is this really gonna solve the problem? I think that's where we left it. Is that footer issue, heaving and sinking, is this the fix?
The way it was explained to us, that there's no rebar or anything in there to keep that from heaving, but he was going to put reinforcement or rebar in
Yeah.
there to pour that threshold so it doesn't.
And if that's the fix, and we've got the money, there's probably no better time to do it than, I'm be in favor of that then.
Do you think it's too cold to pour the concrete and
I
everything?
saw them pouring sidewalks yesterday over in Greene County, Greene Township.
We just have to put the right stuff in.
They were pouring concrete today.
They just add calcium to it and put blankets on it if it gets real cold.
It's supposed to be back in the 40s next week.
I would think in the next week or two, Okeana Food Mart's gonna be doing that too.
Now, but I'll contact them in the morning.
What was the price before, do you remember?
It's in
think
that
it was- I
$4,300
think it was-
range.
So,
I think Rob's got it, I don't know if I
See if I
don't think
can
I
get
have
on
Rob.
my-
What we were talking about is, we got two doors on the left and right side of the building. Just the one, if you're looking at the building, the one on the left would just have a keyed lock. And the one on the right would have the combination electronic lock.
so you only need one of those.
We only need one. What was the cost of the locks?
Oh, man, I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I've been trying to think of what it was. AC's.
I thought they were like three something.
No, they're more than that.
No, I thought they were, you got them down, you bought them off the internet, didn't you?
It was the one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
comes AC.
I think I paid $6,000 for 5 of them.
Really?
That AC.
I thought they were cheaper than that.
AC, you remember how much our door locks were, the electronic door locks were a piece? Yeah. I wanna say it was like I thought it was like $1,200 or something.
I wanna say you're right, cause I know the manual ones are about $700.
I think they were like 1,200. And then the other question Tom had is if we put an electronic door lock down at the community center, would it be part of our system so you could enter that door down there to give it a passcode for a temporary one? But it'd have to have internet down there. Yes.
Can you have two people that can use that software
Yeah.
from two different?
Yeah, because it's kept over here. So you just give them the remote for the team viewer and then the password.
So you could give Tom that and then he could do it from anywhere.
So I could give it to the people that rent it, give them that access code for that day, and then when they leave, it's,
You go in, once they're done, just go back in and change it. That's what I do when people lose their fob or whatever. I just give them on one time, and then I just disable it when they're finished. It's easy.
that's what we were looking at, is just everybody, whether they rent the front room or the back room, very seldom, if ever, we rent both rooms at the same time, because we don't have parking for one. But they would enter the front room even if they were renting the back room, and we would virtually not use the glass side doors.
Lock 6, and then you would just remote in and give them that personal code, and you'd only activate it for that one, only you can do it for lock. Like, some people don't have access to our upstairs, like sheriff's deputies, they only have access to the downstairs, I just block their access. Because you send it to the lock each time. So we have a team viewer code,
Okay.
it actually sits right in the back office.
So we're looking at, I don't know what programming and all that was, it probably wouldn't be
Just gotta add it to the
to
system.
the system, I don't know, so
It's probably looking at what, $5 grand?
43 for the doors and,
Maybe a little more than $5 grand?
yeah, 50s, I'd say
I think our
probably 6.
our 5 doors, installation, all that ended up to be right at like 6,800 to 7,000 for 5 locks.
A little bit of programming on Chris's part,
Yeah.
add it, and then that's it.
Well, if it's a new door, Chris won't have a problem putting it in. But when you had them old doors, you had to modify.
Might get Dwayne to put it in when he does the door. You might be able to have him put it on when he installs the door.
And just add it to this.
It's like 3 or 4 screws
So if we have $4,300 for the doors, and then you had 7,000 approximately for 6 locks, that's about $1,166 for a lock, plus the 4,300, we'd be about $5,466, so $5,500 approximately. Do we have the money?
Find it somewhere. It's gotta be fixed.
And it'll eventually save us
Oh, yeah.
about $3 grand a year as
So
well.
basically in 2 years,
It
we
will
pay for ourselves.
right.
Okay, I make a motion to replace the 2 front doors on the community center with the right one having a electronic programmable lock
Second.
for the amount of $5,500.
Mr. Brooker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
She took it. Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
All right, with that in mind, I've been doing some research looking at what we charge for the community center. I know we can't make money, but we are spending money. The front room we currently rent for $100, and the back room for $125, which is a steal. So I propose that we raise that rent beginning January 1st, and we can discuss what we would like, but I think we would want to probably go at a minimum 150 on the front and at least 200 on the back.
Just to give you a little background, like I said, I was doing a little cost analysis before the meeting. Just in utilities, we're paying about $5,000 a year, just in utilities. And then if you add in Judy, that was another 3, and then of course Jenny has to clean. But that, I mean, that's not gonna go away. So if you just take the utilities and Jenny, you're at $9,000 in expenses.
Jenny or?
Jenny, yeah, Jenny.
Oh, Jenny was 3,000.
Jenny's 3380, and it's hard to ballpark because it's not the same every week what she does, but in 2017 our revenue was $3,450. We didn't make enough to even pay the utilities. This year it's only $2,275. You know, that's half of the utilities. So we're not coming anywhere close to that threshold where we got to worry about we're charging more than it costs
Right.
us.
We'd do better off not even renting it.
You still got the utilities.
You still have the utilities.
Regardless of how you look at it.
We have the building, you're gonna pay that no matter what.
You know, the water and the electric,
And it's
the
something that
phone,
the
we've
community-
talked about, you know, when our contract with Vonage is up, you know, do we really need to have a phone down there?
No. Everybody's
Not
got a
with
cell
cell
phone.
Everybody's got a cell phone, yeah. And I've talked to Chris about this, and he said it's just a basic line. He didn't think it would, you know, be that big a deal to get rid of it.
Here's
And then,
my only fear with that though. Cell phones don't work worth a crap. And if we have
Yeah,
any
that's
type of
Right,
emergency and
right.
you don't have a way for them to call out,
yeah,
that's a legal thing
Yeah.
that could come back on us.
yeah.
I hate to say that, but
And then also you're gonna have the slight increase of whatever the internet is going to cost once you
Oh, the
place it in
internet's
for the
already
doors.
down there.
Oh, it's down there?
It's
Yeah, it's already
$130
there.
a month.
Oh, okay.
Who rents it actually?
Well, we donated to, yeah, they're free. Boy Scouts, Brownies, Girl Scouts, seniors, the senior luncheon every Thursday, that's free.
When we have the elections, do they comp it?
No.
no.
No,
No.
All they do is come in and put tape all over the walls.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well,
Don't get Rob started, please. Just
It looked awful.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah, when they wrote.
so there is a lot that goes into the community that goes back to the community out of that community center, and I think a lot of that's good use. Us renting it makes us a little money back on it. It don't make us a lot, but it gives people in the community a place to have things.
Yeah, to answer your question, Joe, people will rent it for like a birthday party or an anniversary party. This time of year, we're starting to get Christmas parties that people book in there. If you don't have enough room in your own home, you know, that's an expensive way to go, but that's mostly, you know, what we see besides the ones that we don't charge for.
People, have a funeral.
Like the church, our church over here, it rents the hall. I don't know, I have no idea what that is, but if we found out, and what do they charge? Because to me, $100 or whatever.
They
sounds
charge,
cheap.
they're upwards of $400 or $500.
I was gonna say they're about $400.
But they got a lot bigger area, and they
They got
also
a
can
beer.
have
I think it's
alcohol.
more than that.
We can't have alcohol, so
I think
there's-
it's more than that. I can find out. I know who to call to find
I
out.
just thought maybe we look at
Sure.
how things work.
I looked at, it's called Harrison Township Community Center on,
New Haven?
Yeah, yes, that's a nice
And,
place.
yeah, and they're about $300. It varies by day of the week, and it's weekends more, but during the week, but average, she told me about $300.
So if you rented the whole community center down here with these prices, we'd be at $350 if you did both rooms.
And a lot of them just give you like a 4 or 5 hour block. Basically, if they rent it, they could have it 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night for the same price. We don't charge them anymore.
We're not gonna make any money on it, if you're giving it, which is a community thing with the Boy Scouts and on and on.
Right, that's,
You know,
we're not
but
gonna
it's
charge
a
them.
given, so you're never gonna cut, it's just part of the expense of the township.
Yeah, we're not gonna,
We're not gonna make money.
yeah, but
We're just trying to cover some of the
we're just
costs.
offsetting a little bit of it. So, I don't know. I'm thinking 200 for the back and 150 for the front. And anybody thinks we ought to go more or less, or good with that?
I think it's a good start.
I'm fine with that.
What? You're the chiseled stone guy.
Sounds reasonable to me.
All right, I'll make a motion that we increase the rental agreements for the community center effective January 1st, 2019. The front room will rent for $150, and the back room will rent for $200.
Second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's, and we talked about the abandoned cemetery, so that's all I got.
All right, we already worked on the Okeana project, we did the zoning fees. The only other thing I'd like to see done is to add the township meetings to our website, the videos, so if anyone wanted to watch them, that they can. I had, last time when I ran, I probably had 8 to 10 people ask for that. I think it's a good idea. If they want it, it'll eliminate us probably making tapes, because if they want it, they can watch it. And that's time out of schedule, so.
I'll second that. It's easy enough to do. No.
Right now, you're
I don't even think,
You're not even in the picture because the
I'm not
camera's right
sh-
there. I don't think you
Yeah,
are.
there's the camera right there.
oh, wait a second, yes, you are.
The audience doesn't show on the video.
the video shows this one pointing this way. Dale's kinda, it depends if he leans this way, he's out, and if he leans this way, he's in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
That was the point to the audience.
But it doesn't record.
It might not be recorded. I think that's the
When
only.
we record the tapes, this is all you see.
yeah, you only see this,
Right.
you go back there and look at what you see on the screen back there and you will see that.
Sorry, guys, but what happens if you have some irate person out there that doesn't?
Well, you
can-
can record that off, you can pull that
You
off the
can pull it,
videos,
yeah.
but the video that we record
Oh, okay.
that shows the meeting is only here.
Okay, as long as that's somehow or another being where you.
If we
Yeah,
needed to go
access
back and
We
get
can
that,
access
we
it.
can do
Okay.
that, but that's
that
not
one-
gonna
That's
be,
the recording.
that's
Okay.
not on the DVD of
We're
the
good, that's
video.
all I was-
Yeah, it's like the one that's on the wall behind over there as you come in the door. Okay, there's a,
Motion activated.
huh?
It only
It
records.
records when it's activated, right, but it still
When there's
records.
motion.
So we'll just have to make a point that anybody in the audience, no matter if they just want to say, yes, I agree, they have otherwise you're not gonna hear them.
And you will be seeing.
And if it's easy to do, I'd like to see us put this year's on.
I'll have to get them from you. Okay.
Okay, so, okay, Brett made the motion and you seconded, right? Okay. Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think that's all I had for tonight. Everything else is covered, so.
Gotta go to executive.
Oh, we have,
Back to the grassroots is the DORC about what can go on the township websites and stuff. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I did not. She's got it back there for us. Is it permitted?
Yes. I read it.
Because other townships are doing it, but.
Yeah,
so what is your, for personnel?
yes.
Okay, I will make a motion to go to executive session at 9:55 for personnel reasons.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive.
Yeah, $5,500.
Alright, I'll make a motion at 11:16 to come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are back in session.
Okay, anything to add before? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are adjourned.